We'll call the City Commission meeting to order. This is the utility workshop for Monday, August 11th. If you would stand for the invocation and pledge. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight. We ask for wisdom to make the best decisions for the city of Leesburg. In your precious name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're moving along to presentations for the water and wastewater utility fee increase presentation. Would that be you, Mr. Cliff?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Kelsey.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Mayor. For the record, Cliff Kelsey, Public Works Director. So last Monday, we had a presentation given to us by Mr. Sean Ocasio from Ref Palace, who is one of our contractors that did an impact fee study for us. So I'm just going to do a real quick review of the impact fee presentation that he gave, and then the meat and potatoes will be public discussion and commission discussion of the opportunities moving forward.
I don't mean to, well, I didn't interrupt Cliff, but I interrupt Cliff with a purpose. So part of the last meeting was the report on the impact fee study for water and sewer fees that we had started. The commission directed that we start moving forward. If you recall, we gave you two options. One was a little bit of a delay option. One was a move forward option. The process, as Grant advised, and we looked into, we thought there might be a couple of hiccups in there based on some of the new legislation, but y'all directed to move forward. So just to review that process to start off. So it was two workshops. So this is workshop 1. Workshop 2 will be 5 o'clock on the 25th. And we'll basically review some of the same stuff we did before. Once we do workshop, then we move into the adoption ordinance. So we'll start the adoption ordinance based on your direction and the results of the workshop, not assuming that you're going that direction. But then that would set us up to have the formal ordinance in September and probably a January 1 kickoff. But I'm sure Cliff will tell us about all that in
Yes, sir.
workshop number 1.
Yep, and you stole my thunder. I was going to review that, but thank you for taking that for me. Okay, so Mr. Ocasio came and he delivered the presentation. Tonight, what we're going to do is we're just going to go over a little bit of it, discuss what an impact fee is, the methodology of the calculations, the summary of the findings, and then the extraordinary circumstances which we feel we are justified in using for a course of action, and the next steps. And then after that, we'll do public discussion and commission discussion. So this basically just tells us what impact fees are. We've already been over this. And what they do for us, allow us for our capital improvement plans and provide our level of service. And then he went into the legal considerations of what's driving impact fees. And the key thing to look at on here, as the city manager mentioned, new changes are coming in January of 2026, which is why we decided to get ahead of this and not behind it before potential changes could alter our course of action. So again, more legal considerations, takeaways here. Anything we do to update the current fees must be adopted within 12 months of the impact fee study. So our impact fee study closed as of last Monday. And then also another key takeaway, 90-day grace period before imposing a new or increased fee. So as the schedule the city manager briefed prior to this presentation, he included that after the ordinances, then the 90-day grace period, implementation around January. Okay, more legal considerations, and the key of this is just the incremental increasing of it based on the amount and the circumstances. Again, highlighted as the extraordinary circumstances that we are qualified for. And the two types of extraordinary circumstances that will govern what we decide to do. And impact fee criteria, this is just a simple slide giving more definitions of reasonable level of service is what drives what impact fees we use to meet the needs of the community. And then he went over the fee calculation methodology. We gave him all our data. We gave him our current assets. We gave him our capital improvement plans. We gave him all the developments that are in the works. And from all that, we looked at our level of service of 300 GPD for water and 250 GPD for wastewater on our ERU basis. And he punched the numbers. And basically, these were the results that he got. And more fee calculation methodology. Basically, these are the highlights of what the slide previously had. Basically, what I said, talking about our capital improvements plan and our existing infrastructure. These are capital improvement plans of what we have on the projects to build in the next 5 years. And then this is current infrastructure that we already have. So bottom line, looking at it, you see our existing fees up there for water and sewer based on our level of service. And he breaks it down cost per gallon of capacity. Basically, you take the 300 gallons per day of the water based on 11.75, which is our current, and that'll give you a $3.91 per gallon of capacity is what our impact fee will buy us. And then with the proposed fees, based on the calculations and the information we gave him, now we're looking at increasing water by 67%, wastewater very close to the same, and our cost per gallon of capacity will go up the same amount of percentage. So one interesting thing to notice is the 50% cap on the right. So when we increase by 50%, we'd be going up an additional $1,762.50 in water, and then up to $4,167 for the wastewater. That will give us our 50% increase. So with these increases, you can see the red line all the way to the right with the 3,953. That's where we currently stand. And very, very low. You can see there's only 3 other organizations that are lower than us. And then the increase is the red line in the middle towards the left, $6,606. That would be the recommended increase, and it still puts us at a very competitive schedule for impact fees compared to our local neighbors. This is a slide I put together just to kind of show within the past 2 to 3 years, these are the organizations that have done impact fee studies and have increased their impact fees. So over the last 2.5 years, you had 16 organizations that are our peer group, and they have done a similar methodology as we're doing. And this year alone, 3 of them have done this and gone this route and increased their impact fees. So the implementation considerations, again, goes with our ERUs and the limit of the 50%. And the implementation options, we can either do the increase of 50% and phase it in evenly over 4 years after the 50% is already in, or we can do what we're recommending is pursue a full one-time increase through the extraordinary circumstances provision and just one and done. And this is the justification of why we feel extraordinary circumstances relate to us. The population growth, we're up almost 10,000 residents in the past 5 years, so on average 6.5% per year. All the entitlements that are on the books, looking at close to 40,000 since 2020, the 39,823, and 14,185 coming from the villages. And then also, thing to note is just the consumer price index and the material cost of construction has gone up 40% plus since 2019. So the cost to build things, the cost to maintain things, the cost to operate things have all gone up, all justifying the extraordinary circumstances that we are justified. So the next step, after tonight, this will conclude the first workshop that we are obligated to do, and then the next commission meeting on the 25th, we'll do the second workshop, allow public input on this. And the whole time, we're going to make sure we're complying with the Impact Fee Act requirements, and then adopt and propose the ordinance and read the two ordinances and the 90-day grace period to implementation. So with that, I'll open the floor to public comment.
Any questions for Mr. Kelsey from the commission? No? Any questions from the public? Any last-minute comments from the city manager? Yes. You can come up.
Public comment?
Yes. If you would just state your name and address for the record, and you have
Thank
3
you.
minutes.
Good evening, Commissioners. Tony Oriole with Hanover Land Company. First, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak. On behalf of Hanover Land Company and Trinity Family Builders, we appreciate all the effort that went into this impact fee study. We fully support the efforts of the Commission. We understand the rising costs and having growth pay for growth. I mean, it's extremely important. Again, the wisdom that has gone into this and the studies, we truly appreciate it. We are excited to continue to develop and build in the city. We thank you for the staff working so hard to do this. It was an excellent study and I did have an opportunity to read through it and have been involved with it for many years. So again, congratulations, but we fully support the impact fee increases and the justification for it. Thank you very much.
Any other public comments? With that, any last-minute city manager comments?
No, sir.
So we'll have a second reading of this, the second workshop on the 25th. So if there are no further things, we'll have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
This meeting is adjourned, and our second meeting will start at 5:30. You guys ready?
No, you don't.
Yes, he did. Yeah, when they-
We're going to go ahead and call the Monday, August 11th meeting to order. We've already had our invocation and pledge in the prior meeting. We have no proclamations. Under presentations, we're going to move to 3A, downtown parking lot, presented by our city manager and Blake Jury.
Okay, so what, I'll just introduce Blake Drury. As you guys know, we brought Drake on a little bit ago. So Blake is about ready to unveil the initial concept. So really, I'll cut to the chase and then turn it over. But essentially, tonight's presentations kind of show you kind of where the concept's at. And then based on your feedback tonight, if everything is good, I think we got a couple things we need to square up, which Blake will talk about, finish up a couple design parameters, and go out to bid. So.
Yeah, so thank you for having me here. I'm Blake Drury, GAI Consultants. I have Amy Shields, our civil engineer here, and we're going to kind of tag team this and go through the concept. So as city manager said, this is the 5th Street parking lot. So this is the Art Center building together with the 5th Street right-of-way, which you can see on the screen there. We have been discussing with Lifestream. They own the parcel that's at the northwest corner of this site. Been discussing with them incorporating that into the parking lot, and I think there's probably still some details to work out with them on arrangements of parking, but they've been amenable to this point. Their parking's pretty inefficient, as you can see there with the angle. They've got 36 spaces in their lot today. We'll talk about what they can go to. And then continuing down 6th Street, between 5th and 6th, down by the water plant, all the way to the trail. And so that area that's outlined in the red box is the site. It's a couple notable things. One is that there are trucks, semi-trucks that serve the water plant with materials that we need to still be able to get in and out of there. So we've worked with the folks at the plant to try to figure out how that works, and you'll see in the plan that we've still allowed that to happen. The Chicago Fire Pizza corner that you see up at the top right that's out, they still get access from the lot into their parking, so we've got to take that into consideration as we work through this. And then one of the things that slowed us down just a bit is you'll see the blue dashed line there, and I don't know if I can point on here or not, but you see this blue dashed line. That's a water main coming out of the water plant that as we got the surveys done, there's a lot of institutional knowledge about the fact that it's there, and we think it's not that deep. And so you can see the site, if you know that area, the site's kind of running up there where the old building used to be. So we had to get some subsurface investigation done to figure out exactly how deep that pipe is. It's only a couple of feet, to be able to then figure out how we work through it without having to move it or disturb it at all. So that's kind of the setting that we've been working with. And the idea with this is obviously to get as many parking spaces as we can in the most efficient layout to kind of serve the deficit that probably a year or more ago we were here in front of you talking about with the parking study. So the layout of the plan is fairly straightforward. we get in this configuration 201 parking spaces. So previously we had 108. So what's interesting is because it's more efficient on the Livestream site itself, we can go from 36 to 47. And then on the city parking lot site incorporating the right-of-way of 5th Street, we go from 72 to 113. And then by formalizing that grass lot down between 6th and the water plant, we can get another 41. So get a pretty significant number of spaces for downtown for all sorts of events and other kind of daily uses. You'll note that, and I'm gonna point over here. This is access for the 18-wheelers to come in and kind of back into the water plant, which is actually the same move that they do today. So we've accommodated that. We've shifted the access from 5th Street just a little bit to the east to better align with that move and to get a full couple trays of parking in here. We've left as much as we can in place so that we're minimizing the construction cost as much as possible. When we do this, we'll need handicap spaces, so those are up here on Magnolia. Left this drive aisle to serve the lot together with being able to leave Chicago Fire space into their spaces, as well as access to loading and things that they do back here. And then we'll bring it up to code with landscape, with trees in the islands. We've worked around this tree that you'll recognize on 6th Street. And so I don't know if this is worth showing. There's a couple of things to note. I talked about the water main, that we're not going to have any parking over the top of it for reasons of kind of safety. If something happened to that main, it's a big deal. So no parking over it, just a drive aisle. We're going to need some stormwater retention, so we've got exfiltration in 2 locations, and so in doing that will happen under the parking lot. Amy can talk a bit more about that, but you can see the kind of comparison between what's existing out there and what's there today. So last slide, just in terms of timeline, I'm going to let Amy talk about this because she is dealing with getting the construction documents and the permits worked through.
So as the timeline outlines, we've got our plans pretty well squared away, and we're working on compiling all the permit documents. So that's application forms, the agreement that Blake mentioned, and any other affidavits, that kind of thing. So those will be ready in about the next week or two, and that'll go in and start our permitting process. So once we get into that, it's about a 30 to 40-day turnaround time, and we'll get our first set of comments. So once we address that first set of comments, we'll be in good shape to do a bid set. So you can see there's about a October, November timeframe to start bidding. And then once we get the bids going, it'll align well with permits being issued, where you could look to start construction probably the early part of next year. Any questions on the schedule?
Do you think it'd be done prior to Bike Fest, which is the end of April?
That's in April.
That would be tight for the construction, yeah.
Okay, just curious. Any other questions?
When do you anticipate it being done, completed?
Yeah, if we can get started in January, it would be definitely by the end of next summer.
Does the commission overall like the concept?
Yeah, I think it's great. I thought we were going to stop at that water line, so I'm thrilled that you were able
Yeah, I
to
was
go
excited
across
about
that and pick up more space. Glad to hear Livestream's working with us. So no, I think it's a great concept. I've been pushing for this for about 5 years, so I'm probably the most excited commissioner up here.
Will you roll back to the concept?
Yeah.
Yeah, Blake doesn't know this yet.
Oh, I love that.
So kind of moving forward, obviously Bike Fest may or may not be an issue. So we kind of need to take that a little bit by ear as far as scheduling. So if we see, depending on where they're at in permits, if permits start getting pushed back and we can't get this out to bid, then we might be ready to start construction or go to bid April or February or sometime after the new year if it's delayed. That could really create a Bike Fest concept. So then that may make us delay start of construction. So I don't want to commit one way or another until we really know where we're at. So Bike Fest would be on the bubble. If we can get substantial completion or a good amount of completion and where we're at doesn't interfere with Bike Fest, then we would go ahead and start construction early according to their timeline, because that could give them a solid, 90 days to work on something. The other concept, can't miss it. I know Blake said it. I don't know if everybody heard it, so let me bring it up again. We are still working with Livestream a little bit on an agreement to make these improvements. Remember, this section of the project, that's Livestream property. So our concept with Livestream has been the city will make these improvements on their property. They permit us to use it for special events and these type of stuff so we can maximize that. We had some initial concepts and discussions with Livestream. Blake's carried that on. So, we're putting together those agreements. So those need to be formalized as well. The other thing is for potentially maybe more parking, and I think this is something we ease into. I don't want to start this because it could delay everything, but in this area, there's also some additional area for more potential parking. So that would be something we need to go back to Blake and his team once all this is done. Because there may be some scenarios where we can tie all these parcels together. This becomes a little bit more cumbersome because you have private ownership in this top corner, then you have the city owns this parcel, and then Livestream owns this parcel. But potentially we might want to look at tying all these together as well, which can provide additional parking too. But I think if we focus over here and try to do it all at once, we're going to slow down this. So those three things to come, how the permitting process goes and how that potentially affects the start, firming up with Livestream, and then once we get all that, we'll turn our attention to see what we can do on that. So what we need from you all tonight is, yeah, we like the concept, understand some of the things we still need to do, but we're kind of at a phase to where Blake and his team can start going towards permitting, wrap up some of the things to where we can get this out to bid. And then like with every project, this really would stop next to you again when hopefully you approve the construction agreements. And we'll have updates periodically, but hopefully, if everything moves as planned, the next big one will be we'll let it for bid if you guys are happy tonight when we're ready, and then a construction agreement comes back before you before the spade goes in the ground.
And my only comment is I would not want to slow this project down. I would think we could shuffle around and find places to put people for Bike Fest. I believe this may be a fair statement. Bike Fest was a little smaller last year, so I just hate to see this project get slowed down. Is my point.
I like the concept. I don't know if we could investigate maybe with that big water tank right there and maybe putting a mural, some sort of mural on that water tank, if the commission would be open to that, to have staff investigate that as well. So, all right. Any other questions?
Thank you. It is a great site plan.
Thank you.
We'll move on to 3B, which is the gas facility update. Would that be you or Corey?
Actually, Corey, our architect, Corey, come on up. And Ian, if you could flip over to the gas concept design. There was a new one that went out this afternoon.
Yeah.
It's on the agenda packet.
Like this? Yes. The gas. Is it not in the packet that you have?
It's on mine.
I sent it. that up after we add it.
So, hey, Mike Andrews, if you're around, we need your help. So I'll stall here for a second.
Or do you want to just move to Bike Fest?
Here you go.
Here he comes.
Here comes Mike. I'd like to keep these together
Okay.
because they're kind of simultaneous. We need you to find the gas HQ presentation. Anna can't find it. I'd like to keep these two together because they work, obviously they work together because part of the concept is getting events moved into the old gas HQ and then moving arts over to Tropic. So the projects kind of are working together in that we got to have that area working. So potentially they're actually timed. The scenarios are actually coming along quite well. So believe it or not, I'm at a loss for words. That's where we're at. So, so our architect was going to make the presentation for you tonight to review some of the concepts. So what Corey will be showing you are some of the ideas that we have and the needs that we have out on Griffin Road. So that the concepts become of facilities that we need to relocate gas, to increase the size and footprint of their headquarters with storage, kind of moving gas out of downtown, as we've talked about. The city clerk has needs for better storage, and that would be dry, wet storage for state statutory retention policies. So she needs a conditioned facility. Her facilities at the gas department now are inadequate for record storage, but they're not inadequate for equipment and storage that events would need. So again, remember, events moves out of the old partnership building into the gas HQ downtown, and then arts moves over to the Tropic. And so the equipment and the stuff that's in the existing partnership building kind of moves into the old gas facility, and then gas relocates over to
Knights of
Griffin Road.
Columbus.
So the scenarios are moving along so that everything is tied together so that, if we do this right, potentially we can have the bid for the gas HQ out, and we can have the bid for the parking lot out, kind of running scenarios. So with that, Corey's going to hit you the concept of his needs and how that got translated into the old Knights of Columbus building, how we expanded and put in those facilities. So there you go.
Good afternoon, Corey Geffert, Director of Gas. As the city manager said, got a quick overview of the design concept plan for the gas operations, as well as Miss Andy's storage, and as well as pole barn for electric and gas. Scroll down. Yep, there you go. So this here is the 2116 Griffin Road, the Knights of Columbus. This is kind of the initial footprint, the building and parking lot. You can see the parcel here is just some green space. This right here is an old storage facility that electric is using for storage. I think Christmas tree lights. We would probably tear that down to construct Miss Andy's record storage and build the pole barn. As you can see here, this is the footprint here for the building there, Knights of Columbus. The existing restrooms, kitchen, some storage, this big open space here. This is like a classroom or conference room, small office, small mechanical, and another small office. If you want to go to the last page, Miss Anna, scroll all the way down to the bottom and we'll work our way up. Keep going. Keep going. One more, I think. Yep, there you go. So this is kind of the initial concept plan of the building and the footprint. You can see this is the existing Knights of Columbus. And this would be the addition we would have to build on to make it feasible for staff now and some growth for the future. This is the Knights of Columbus now, or the concept. The building and kind of the parking. The parking there may be a little bit of change in the parking due to some retention. We don't know how big or little we need for retention, so it may change a little. This over here would be Miss Andy's storage facility and our pole barn right there with electric. Obviously, this would be Griffin Road out front, and this would be Tally Box here to the west. If you want to go to the next page. This is just kind of overview here of the pole barn slash Miss Andy's storage. Nothing really significant here. Got a garage door there for entry, exit. This is the pole barn for us in electric. So it's pretty good size. I think this is like 160 by 60, 14 feet tall. So some of the line trucks and stuff can pull out and get underneath. If you want to go to the next page. This is the west side of the building. This is the addition. This would be our shop where we would house our meters, regulators, miscellaneous parts that the crews need. This would be office space in here, and this would be the part of the initial building. And this would be the west side of the building. If you want to go to the next page. This is the front of the building here. Obviously, the existing building. Got some windows up front. Would be the addition. We'd have a small conference room here, break room here to kind of utilize some of the natural light with the windows. This would be the north side of the building, the rear building. You could go to the next. This is the layout of Miss Andy's storage facility here. Like I said, you saw the garage door in the one slide. Got a small mechanical / IT room. It's about 3,000 square feet of storage here. Then the pole barn. You can go to the next. So here, this is, obviously you saw the roof line. This is a 2-story building. So if you come upstairs, we got 2 offices here, bathroom, stairs. This space here would probably leave open for future office space. And then we got 2 offices here and a small closet for, cleaning supplies or whatnot. This part here, our shop would be down below. This wall would go all the way up to the ceiling, so we would utilize the height for storage and stuff. And this would be open to below, to the office below. Go to the next slide. So this is the bottom floor here, entryway, lobby, small lobby. Got the where our admins would be to catch vendors, the mail, UPS, contractors, whoever comes in. Then we got a small conference room here with the windows that you saw outside. Same with the break room. Here's the break room here. If you come out through the lobby, we got 4 offices here for staff. Got break room, like I said. Got down here at the southwest corner of the building would be mechanical and IT. This here is the existing kitchen, existing bathroom. Obviously, we would remodel it and revamp it. Moving north here, we got a big open office here. This is probably where all our crews would be housed, all our field guys, our distribution crews, our service techs, utility locators, maintenance folks. We would probably all put in this open space, whether we put small desks or cubicles or something, but we would house everybody in here. Move into the west side of the building. We said, here's our shop. We got a big garage door. We can pull the trucks in and out and unload and load material. Got a small welding shop here for fabbing regulator stations, meter sets, small mechanical room. This would be probably offices for our operations supervisors. Got a small bathroom and locker room. I think that's about it for the floor. This area here would probably be for our copier and office supplies here. I think that's what they have that designated for. Well, I think there's one more slide. Yep, so this is kind of overall concept from bird's eye view, how it would look. Like I said, Miss Andy's storage, pole barn, parking lot, and building. So that's basically kind of it as in a nutshell. Any questions?
The only thing I would underscore in the presentation is we took a lot of, I think, consideration into the existing facilities to keep those, the restroom locations, minimize construction costs going forward. So we worked around a lot of the existing infrastructure. On the kitchen concept, if you go back to that slide, I think it's the, yep. the kitchen concept. It's really one that kind of birthed with the electric department and the need for kitchen services and a larger congregation area for an EOC for operations. So when electric crews, gas crews, public works crews are out during emergency response time, electric had in their budget, and it kept getting overlooked for a number of years, to upgrade some of the facilities at same site, but on the electric north side of the site. So really, this building serves that facility well. So the concept of having an EOC where the work crews can break, get something to eat, and then get back out for hurricane recovery and those type of things is in the facility. So this is, I think, a reasonable design. I'll throw some numbers at you so you're not too much sticker shock, but you'll have a little, obviously, because unfortunately these things aren't cheap. We had $1 million in the budget to do this. We had that in the fiscal year 25 budget. Of that $1 million, we've spent about 150 of that on the design, so that leaves us with about 850 for construction. After the design, we probably think a good budget number moving forward is probably going to be in the $2.25 range million to get it constructed. Funds payable by the gas fund. So most of this would be their reserve accounts. Mind you, gas is performing extremely well. So I think in 2013, gas probably had somewhere 15 million in their reserve account. We spent a considerable amount of that in our partnership with the villages, extending mains and those type of things so we could serve the growth. And so that growth now has necessitated the need for a bigger facility. So really, if one is sitting there thinking, why the heck does gas need all this? What we're doing is we're taking the two facilities that are on 5th Street, one on the east side of the road, one on the west side of the road. We're combining them and making them bigger. I think at that time, in the 13 timeframe, gas was probably 18, 20 employees. Gas is now 29, 30 employees, and it'll be growing. Because we can't forget our partnership with the villages and the gas extensions that we fought to get is growing. So gas basically is growing on the villages side at 250 customers a month. So as long as the villages continues their rapid expansion in Sumter County, those are all gas customers. Those are all facilities that Corey needs to serve those. So in exchange, what we've seen really since the villages has took off, so we spent some capital extending mains and actually fighting the legal fight, but now you see them back with a reserve account at 10 million. So gas is doing what gas has really always done for the city, which is it's been an excellent enterprise fund for the city. So the construction cost of this is sustainable and is doable without being a catastrophic hit, and it's something they need. The other thing I'll also point to is I think probably in 2017, 2018, when we look to the villages and that village's deal to be a catalyst for the gas department, then to transfer enterprise funds into a capital improvement program plan for the city, I would tell you I would love for that initial concept to be the case. I don't think now, 7 years later, that the state legislature is going to allow that. So some of all this process that we went through to kind of get our electric rates down and keep them sustained and operate more of in an IOU fashion, because we could shift that over to gas, that hasn't ended completely. But my guess is, based on where the state legislature heads, eventually I think those surplus transfers are going to be controlled by authorities stronger than us. So really then where do you go with that gas surplus? And don't get me wrong here, I'm not saying you just spend it. This is a need, but those surpluses are ultimately going to need to be spent on managing the gas fund, and then probably ultimately where we go with gas rates. Because while it's not been stopped yet, I think using some of those surpluses as a funding capital improvement project transfers probably going to be limited in the future. So it is a need. There is the cash there in the general, in the gas fund to do it. So really what we would like from you guys this evening is kind of your wand, the concept makes sense. Assuming that in this workshop forum, we'll finish up with our architects to get the design and the concepts into a bid fashion, and then get that out to bid, hopefully about the same time frame as we do the downtown parking project.
Questions for Corey or the city manager?
I have a question, Corey, please.
ma'am.
Will the trucks be entering only from Griffin, or will you access the back? Is there a back entrance to the area?
Right now, it looks like it will be coming in and out off of Griffin. We did talk about possibly utilizing electrics
That's what I was thinking.
entrance, but as of right now, it's just off of Griffin.
Okay.
Maybe
So
we could
what's
definitely tweak that.
What is adjacent? What's behind you? Is that the wall from the entrance for the electric, or?
So basically,
Okay.
just a fence right
If you
there.
would go back to that site plan. This
Right
site
here.
plan, yeah.
Yep.
So,
So there's the fence.
yeah, so to the north of that, put your pointer, Corey, on the north. That's existing electric property.
Yep. All
And
this.
so when we bought give them existing, so
So-
that area right there, that L, if you will.
All
That
this.
is existing city. When we bought the Knights of Columbus, that nicely fits into an enclave that was the city. So the fence that you see now, we bring that fence out to Griffin Road, and then everything is encompassed in the electric compound, which kind of become electric gas. And
Yeah.
Andy storage.
So the Tally Road would be fenced as well?
The
Yes.
existing
Okay.
fence you see on Tally Road stays there,
Yep.
which would be the east side of Tally.
Yeah, I think the plan was to fence this all the way across, that way we could all have, access to all the properties. It was kind of the idea.
So you can, so electric can serve it, so electric can get there from the north side.
Yep.
You know, they have the secret entrance off Tally Road, so that you can get to it from the north. Gas can, gas public-wise and service delivery-wise can get to it from Griffin. So you'll have both.
Is everyone okay with the concept and giving the city manager approval to move forward?
Yeah, I think it's a great design.
Yeah, that's
I think it's smart to move gas out of downtown. We have other uses for downtown, so it all flows beautifully. Thank you.
Yeah, very much. Agreed. Yep. Thank you, Corey.
All right, thank you, guys.
Last one, 3C, review Bike Fest financials and event management.
So I'll tee this up for Travis. As you all know, 2 years ago now, the partnership approached us and decided that Bike Fest was not profitable for them anymore. And I think the commission picked up the mantle. Well, I don't think. The commission did pick up that mantle. But I think it was done out of the pressure from the public and the demand for the Bike Fest event. So we took over the partnership. We entered into an asset agreement with the partnership to assume their assets. And what we got from that agreement was all their equipment, which we talked about a little bit this evening, the building, which we're talking about demolishing, but we also received from them all their cash assets, and that totaled about $250,000. We have now endeavored and we have done Bike Fest 2 years as the city being the primary manager / host of the Bike Fest. And we have partnered with the chamber in that endeavor. And we've looked to the chamber to do two things. One, the chamber was brought in to help us sell alcohol during the event. The chamber saw that as a source of revenue for them, so we stopped our regular city funding of the chamber because the chamber was able to help us manage this event, and then they received funding out of that. And then we also created the events division. What we saw Bike Fest 24 was a little bit of a loss, about in the neighborhood of about 70 grand. In 24, we felt like our operations were good, and because this is the first year, we did have rain that a little bit. But we made some modifications to rough modifications to the concept, where we put, after 24, we picked up the Tropic building. So we picked up an extra facility where we could sell alcohol, beer stand, which actually showed the revenue increase. And then in 25, this year, we had a grand time. The weather was awesome. The crowds looked to be pretty reminiscent of old times. But we also had a loss. 2 years now of a loss, and the loss, and I'm going to summarize it. Travis will give you a little bit more details, but the loss is strictly attributable, I don't think to management, but to where we're spending the money. And the money is a beneficiary, so it's turned into a beneficiary for the community. So with our funding of the chamber, with our funding of civic organizations, we've created kind of a platform where if we're funding the chamber, if we're funding civic organizations through the partner, through the Bike Fest, and we continue to use that model, what we can anticipate is a loss of 70 grand. So we reported back to you during the budget process that we had this issue, and we needed to discuss it in more detail. So really the purpose of this is to give you staff recommendations, go over some numbers, and get direction from you all this evening on how to move forward. So that tees up Travis's presentation for you.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. We're going to do a little financial recap and then ask you guys for some future direction here at Bike Fest. I wanted to start off just by saying we feel like we've got really good response from last year's Bike Fest, from all the metrics that we have at our disposal. The numbers are nicely, steadily increasing. There is a regression from the 2019 pre-COVID numbers, but from 23, when Joni and the partnership brought it back, to 24, now to 25, there's been a good increase. We our Placer AI data, we actually just had a meeting with them today. They showed 156,000 out-of-market visitors to the city of Leesburg over that 3-day weekend. So that's not counting locals that are in the Leesburg area code that came out and enjoyed the event. That's 156,000 people that came to Leesburg in that weekend. The other number that I thought was great that I wanted to share was 2 weeks ago at the last TDC meeting, the Discover Lake director, Ryan Ritchie, announced that the economic impact to Lake County as a whole was $43 million. That's his number, not mine, so you have to ask him how he got to that. But $43 million to the county as a whole is great economic impact, along with 96% of the hotels at occupancy. So filling up the hotels in all of Lake County. So successful in those. And then the last one is that we've had a, I would say, overwhelmingly positive feedback from businesses, especially downtown. Not every single one, but I would say the vast majority that have reached out to us has been overwhelmingly positive. So the one metric that is not trending in the right way is the financials of it. This slide you guys saw during the budget meetings. Won't go over all of it again, but in the overall gist of it is you have the alcohol and non-alcohol expenses and revenues, put them together, and the city loses $69,000. The chamber profit was $50,000, and then the other nonprofits were $54,000. We'll dig into that a little bit deeper in the next slide. And then the key is the partnership transfer funds. So when the partnership dissolved, with all the other equipment and events that they handed over to us, they also handed us $257,000. In 24, we transferred $72,000. This year, we're going to transfer $69,000. At that rate, like Mr. Minner said, we have one more year of Bike Fest if continuing it the way that we're doing before we really had to make a change. So this is a lot of numbers, but the couple that I want to point out are the profits by organization. So Bike Fest has always been a good local event that helps bring money into the city and with the organizations. So the chamber had 50. Al kind of touched on it, but I think it is really important to understand that the chamber isn't getting the $30,000 of the other sponsorships and civic funding that they did prior to running the bars for Bike Fest. So really their number for Bike Fest was 20,000. So I think it's important to differentiate that, to understand that part of the civic funding and part of the sponsorships for all the events that we sponsor of the chamber is in that 50 grand. And then the other 9 organizations received anywhere between $2,900 and $8,800 of tips and efficiency bonuses for working the bars. So the big key word I would say to this is sustainability. How do we make this sustainable, that we're not losing $70,000 each year and still putting on a really good, fun, safe event? So we came up with 3 options that we've mulled over, talked about at length. So option number 1 is go the same route with the chamber next year as we did the previous 2 years. Like I said, we got 1 year left of doing that. Go to an outside vendor, and then work on the back end to keep the chamber whole with giving them, whether it's civic funding or sponsorships, however we make them whole. And then a new way of working out a fee amount and a percentage for the chamber to still run the bars. In the end of that, the chamber would need to walk away with 50, and the city would need to walk away with 40 to kind of get us to that break even. And that's a tough number, and we'll touch on that here in a minute. So option 1, pretty simple. Same way. Kick the can to next year. Plan on losing around that $60,000 to $70,000. Take the last, or 60 of the 114,000 left from the chamber or the partnership transfer, and we can do that for another year. Second one, we get a little bit deeper into numbers. We call this the industry standard. So the format of how many, if not all, large-scale festivals and events are run with this procedure. So you have an outside vendor that comes in, sells your alcohol for the city. They pay the taxes and fees, and then they get a cut. They get a $10,000 cut off the top, and then that number, there's a percentage. They get a percentage of the rest of it. So in 2023, late 2023, when we found out we were doing Bike Fest, we reached out to some people to get a proposal of what that would look like. And at that time, the percent was 70 for us, 30 for them after they get 10 grand. So going off of those numbers, the concessionaire would have had a revenue of $60,000 plus tips. Their profit is really unknown because we won't have their list of expenses. Like these are organizations that do this year round, so their insurance is cut up into the 20 events that they have. They don't have to rent tents, they don't have to rent tables, they have all that stuff in-house. So the profit is unknown. Really, to us, their profit doesn't matter all that much outside of we want them to be happy and come back. So that would be the part that would be important. And then to us, we would have an overall with last year's number, we would have had a profit of $77,000. Key to this, we've been having conversations for the last couple weeks, and then some just this afternoon. Though that $10,000 and that 30% is negotiable at every event. So we're hearing anywhere from a 70-30 split, a 60-40 split, a 50-50 split. Everybody that we're talking to is saying it's at a point where you got to negotiate it. This was the number from 2023. A lot has changed since 2023, and we are very comfortable saying that we think that profit number to the city would be anywhere between $50,000 and $100,000. The third way is a new way with the chamber. So it was set up similar to what the industry standard was. Just played around with we sliced and diced that fee and that percentage a million different ways to try to come up with something that worked for everybody. And just in the end, it didn't. We just couldn't get the numbers to work out where everybody could walk away happy with it. And it introduces a pretty good risk for the chamber to take it on with that procedure. So we don't recommend this way. Considerations as you're give us advice tonight and direction on where to go. It is important that we keep chamber whole. They weren't part of the civic funding process, so we need to You know, if they're not going to get their 50,000 for running the event, we need to keep them whole. So pre Bike Fest, like we talked about, they got $30,000 as a total package. We're recommending that we keep them whole at $50,000. Sources for that revenue would be the Bike Fest profits. So the one thing I should have mentioned last slide, but we'll do it now, is that 77,000. So the 50 to 100, we'll call it. It's alcohol profit. So there are certain things we can and certain things we can't do with that profit. So one of the things that we can do is you can put it towards civic funding. So you can give it to nonprofit organizations. You can roll it into the next year's event. You can pay one number that's not included in any of this is your staff time. So PD, fire, our special event staff, none of that is included in this. It's always been absorbed in the city budget. You could pay those. So those are kind of the three ways that we've talked about where you could use that funding. So to go to the chamber, you could use the Bike Fest profits. Some or all of that, 50 to 100. The general fund 26 budget, if we go the millage rate of the 34752, there'd be some money in there to do that, or go into the solid waste fund. You go to the civic funding. There's a potential reduction there in the civic funding. And the funds would come from the outside vendor that you could look at for civic funding. The other consideration is we need to watch the price of alcohol. So when we would contract out with a professional, we need to make sure that we have in the contract, the pricing levels that we feel comfortable bringing here. I think anybody that's been to public festivals or even just any events now, they know the price of a beer is expensive, and we just don't want it to get. Don't want to get it too high, and we also don't want them to come in and undercut our local bars and businesses either. So that's something we need to talk to them about in the RFP process. So staff recommendation, we go with the outside vendor and fund chamber at $50K.
Thank you, Travis. Any questions for Travis? Are you guys okay with their recommendation of procure an outside vendor and fund chamber at $50K?
Option two
Option two?
is what I would.
Yeah, we have to go with option 2.
Yes, ma'am.
Since we don't know what the outside vendor would be, when would we go there to try to consider, like, what time frame?
So what direction we need from the commission is to how do we want to change this scope? If we decide to go with an outside vendor, we need to put together a procurement package to get that outside vendor. Mm-hmm. So we need to get that out and in the marketplace ASAP. From that, I mean, our concern probably isn't so much what the vendor's expenses are. I think they have some efficiencies there that Travis alluded to a little bit, in that these are repetitive things for them. So some of our expenses that increase our costs are probably a decrease to an outside vendor. I think our number one concern is going to be accuracy and ensuring that if they sold 190 grand of booze, that's the actual number. And there's no hocus pocus. So we'll try to watch that as much as we can. We don't have any reason to believe that a vendor will report differently to us. We'll probably have some contractual language in there that says you better be reporting, and so we'll take them at word. And I think time will tell on that number. If this is a profitable event for them, they'll be back and we'll do it again. They'll be happy. We'll be happy. If it's not a profitable event for them, they'll be letting us know they don't want to do it again, and then we'll have to come back and redecide this.
My concern was, as far as the location, would this be a local vendor, or would they have to travel, or is it?
We don't know. Mm-hmm. We'll have to vend it out. I don't think there is a Leesburg business that does this type of traveling alcohol sales. There are those vendors out there. You see bigger communities in Orlando. I think that's where Travis.
Orlando, Mount Dora. Mount Dora is a big one.
Mount Dora and Orlando, probably the two biggest communities that we knocked on. How do you guys do major events? And so this is where this concept's coming from.
And could we create a team to work with that vendor, basically, say, one person with every tent to be a confirmation for us what they're saying is poured, is what we're reporting as well?
I think we'll leave that to the discussions of where the procurement process goes. And once we have a conversation with vendors, we'll get a better feel for that. We'll talk to some other stuff. You know, the alcohol sales locations will be up to the vendor. Are we going to have a single person watchdogging it? You know, I think we play that by ear.
Thank you.
With option two, my only reservation, so 2 years ago, we were giving the chamber $30,000 as a contribution. Chamber is working the Bike Fest, doing everything, but now they're not working the Bike Fest, and we're going to keep it at $50,000. I think that should be talked about. I don't know that I agree that we should say, don't work the Bike Fest anymore, and you still get the same money. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, so let me just pontificate on that. Obviously, there's a couple of moving wheels. We tried to keep the presentation really super high level so that it didn't get too confusing, because we can get down in the weeds and get lost. There's one of the major concerns that we talked about on a staff level, and staff was myself, Robert Hicks, Deputy City Manager, Travis, Events, and Brandy, our budget director. So when I say staff, that's who we're talking about. Our concern was keeping the chamber whole. So the chamber obviously relies on the city for funding. Pre-Bike Fest, it was 30 grand in 3 increments. It was, I think, roughly it was a check out of what we called civic funding for, I think it was 10, and then the other various levels of support throughout the year. So they netted from the city 30 grand. So I think that's the baseline. Over the last 2 years, the chamber was able to net 50 grand. So I think that's your window. So the first thing we need to do is, if we decide to go outside, so if you guys say, yep, Minter, go do an RFP and go outside to get the vendor, the next thing we're going to do then is sit back down with the chamber, with you guys, and firm up what we want to do with them, and we need to do that prior to October 1. So I think the way this would go is you'll probably have your deal with the chamber before we're back to you with an agreement on the vending process. So really this evening it'll be go that route. We'll go procurement, and Rob will start a procurement process, and then we'll sit down with the chamber. We did speak ad nauseum with Sandy Moore, Executive Director of the Chamber, today. Her request started out at 50. And so I brought that to you all. She also then has to go talk to her board about where they want to go as far as what the Chamber board wants to do. I think her executive meeting is tomorrow, and then their regular Board of Directors meeting is Thursday. So we've got a month to kind of wash this out. So those are the two. Those are the concerns.
Another question, sorry. Some of the expenses that were incurred from the chamber, how do we know what the outside vendor would offer? Could we negotiate where we had the chamber having to do this experience, try to put that on with the third vendor, and that way it'll...
Are you talking about marrying the chamber and the outside vendor? I mean, that's something we can talk about. I think that probably would not happen because, A, the outside vendor has their operations. They're going to want to run their show and do their thing.
No. I'm not saying to mirror it. I'm saying where the chamber had their expenses listed here from for the past 2 years. How do we know what the third party will be offering?
Okay, so
maybe we can negotiate more of that contract.
We're not going to know that expense. Okay, we know, and so we talked about this on a cursory level. I'll bring it down a little micro. We know that our expenses in selling alcohol was about $93,000. Okay, so we generated $190,000 in alcohol sales of revenues. That does not include tips. Tips was about 30 grand. So the way we've operated is tips right off the top was a civic funding operation. Okay, so we didn't even include tips in the matrix because we took tips, when our partnership with the chamber, we took the tip money, and the tip money went right to funding civic organizations. So we know that there's two components. We know tips, we know sales, and those two together are about $220,000 in revenue. that would be about what an outside vendor would do. We know on our side of the house that once you take the 30 off, you're dealing with 190 in revenue, and then of that 190 in revenue, we know about 90,000 of it is expenses. Those expenses are purchasing alcohol, purchasing drink mixers, purchasing ice, purchasing tents, purchasing golf carts, purchasing ice, purchasing help. We need to pay help to count money and distribute stuff, and then miscellaneous. So we can give you a detailed breakdown of what all those expenses are. Now, where we're going to think now, and Travis alluded that in a little bit. So where we think this outside, I don't think we're going to be able to drill down into what those expenses are for the outside businesses. And I think to a certain extent that private sector is going to keep those expenses to themselves. But I think what we can assume is there's going to be some efficiencies from the outside vendor, that they're repeating uses of tents, they're repeating uses of golf carts, they have the same personnel. So where we have an expense for that on an annual basis, because we're not going to go out and spend $100,000 on a tent, they're going to reuse that tent. So and that's really the crux of where the method, our method versus the chamber, and our method and the chamber's method is where we have certain fixed expenses in that $93,000. I don't think we've got $40,000 to cut in there. I'm not going to say there's zero waste, because that it's waste comes with doing business. But I don't think you're going to find 40 grand efficiencies to flip the switch. So that's why we go to that outside vendor. I think the biggest concern, Commissioner, with an outside vendor is, are they being honest with the money?
Yeah,
and here's
okay.
what we're going to find out. If they're making a lot of money, that's when we need to worry about, are they playing hocus pocus? If they're not making any money, well, we're going to know about that, because they're not going to come back. So really, I think we go into this in a 1-year contract. We test the waters. We see how it goes. Maybe we have a short-term contract, 1 to 3 years, see how the relationship goes. Here's where I think the commission is in a pickle, on the givens. We know that the public wants Bike Fest. They lined up this room multiple occasions saying, we want Bike Fest, and we've catered to that. So we know we got to do Bike Fest. B, we know that the way we've done Bike Fest for the last couple of years has been a loss leader. So let me talk about that a little bit. So how do we go from losing 70 grand to making 75 grand? That's a $150,000 delta. It's really easy in the numbers, though, to see it. So I'll boil it down for you. We give away, we give 50 to the chamber. We give 50 to civic organizations. There's 100. And then there's 50 miscellaneous stuff. So in those 3 components, there's your delta. So and in of the miscellaneous, so I gave you a firm 50 to the chamber, a firm 50 to civic organizations, then another 50, 30 of that other 50 is insurance that we buy. So we know if we flip the switch, we don't have 150 grand. That's how you go up to 75. So now if you have 75 in the black, because we've gone outside our organizations, because we're working on outside's efficiencies, because they're reusing tents, they're reusing supplies that we have to buy every year. Now you got 75 potentially in the coffers that you can redistribute. Maybe that becomes the source of civic funding in the future. Maybe that we come back and the city absorbs that money, and we go back and we pay our overtime expenses that we've been absorbing since inception of Bike Fest. So that's something you're going to want to talk about. So we know that we can't continue to do it the way we've done it. We know the public wants it, and we're going to have some trial and error in how we go to an outside agency. But we really think the outside sales of alcohol shifts liability from the city, provides profit line, and then the biggest things that we're going to need to be concerned about is making sure we keep the chamber whole, making sure we keep track of where the alcohol sales are. I don't think there's anybody in this room who goes to an event and pays less than 12 or 10 bucks for a beer. So you're still doing that at Bike Fest. But if we're the sponsors of Bike Fest and beer prices go from 6 bucks to 12 bucks, we're going to get murdered on Facebook, as profiteers, which isn't the case because you see the numbers. But that's a concern we need to watch. But then that's also a double-edged sword, because the higher the outside vendor goes, if our local merchants stay low, they're going to sell a lot of beer. So your local merchants are going to be happy, but your vendor's not going to be. So hopefully we'll figure out a way that's gonna come together. So I know there's lots of questions about specific detailed expenses. I think the marketplace is just naturally going to dictate that their scales of efficiency, they're beating us by $100,000, and that's why we need to change the switch.
I think that some of the expenses would probably be gone as well. Some of it, if it's through a third-party vendor. So I would suggest that, like you're saying, wait and come back, and then before we decide what's to be given, to be offered. But I understand the point that you're trying to make sure the chamber's financially stable.
And I think at the end of the day, if you compare our expenses to the outside vendors' expenses, they're going to be totally looking at it from a different perspective. They're not going to see a tent as an expense. They're not going to see a golf course as a perpetual expense because they've made a one-time capital investment. So your spreadsheet's not going to look like their spreadsheet.
Just two comments. I do like it, Travis. The Chamber's been involved in this event for years. I didn't know if there was a role for them, and I don't need an answer right now. If there's a role for them, to pay them from 30 to 50. I just throw that out for discussion. I don't know if they're still going to be involved or not. Number two, in sponsorships, is the county, I think I should know this number, is the county giving us money or the TDC?
TDC.
How much?
TDC refunds us for any marketing that's outside of the area, and this year it was like 46,000 and change.
Okay,
We can
that's
get
a good
up
number.
to 50.
I perked up when you talked about the county being happy with the beds,
Yeah.
the hotels and all that. But
And we are going to have some discussions with them because right now the only way to get money for Bike Fest is to advertise outside of the county, and they reimburse us directly for that. With the 96% occupancy in hotels, we're going to see if there's other options to look at with them.
Okay.
But right now it's 46,000 of advertisement.
I'd forgotten the number.
reimbursement.
That's a good number.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Travis.
Yep.
Any further questions? If not, can we poll the commission for option 2? Is everyone okay in favor of option 2?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Absolutely, option 2.
Commissioner Berry? Yeah, okay. So I think option 2 is what we'll go with.
So with that direction, we'll go out to the marketplace and we'll get an RFP out ASAP, and then we'll go back and we'll visit with the chamber and try to work out a keep them whole agreement, for lack of better words, and we'll be back to you on how we formalize that for fiscal year 26.
Thank you. Thank you, Travis.
Thank you.
All right. We'll move on to public comments. This section is reserved for members of the public to bring up matters of concern or opportunities for praise. Please note the issues raised during this time will not be discussed in detail during the current meeting. They will either be referred to the appropriate staff or scheduled for consideration at a future city commission meeting. Each speaker is allocated 3 minutes. Please, to provide their comments, kindly adhere to this time limit to ensure equal opportunity for all participants and to support the efficient conduct of the meeting. I would ask, next meeting is our shuffleboard discussion, so if you are here for that, I would request that you would hold off. But if you have any public comments for anything that's not on the agenda tonight, if you would form a line at the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes. This is for anything not on the agenda. Yes, Mr. Polk.
Bill Polk, 600 Cascade Avenue, Leesburg, Florida. I won't talk about the shuffleboard, but I would ask you all to reconsider giving that property away to anybody. The next thing is, if I were a banker and y'all brought that partnership thing or the Bike Fest thing to me, you'd be looking at coattails going out the door. Y'all don't have a plan. There's no plan. I don't understand. I mean, there's nothing set, and you don't know how much money you're going to make. You don't know how many people are going to come away. It's such an indecision on anything there. I would consider turning it all over to somebody else and letting them run it, and then we get a percentage off of whatever the heck they do. But that's the end of my comments. Thank you.
Mr. Polk. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Steve Clark, residing at 109 South Lake Drive in Leesburg. As a concerned citizen, I value ethical governments and equitable community planning. I support the need for transitional housing for youth aging out of foster care. However, the current proposal to donate city land and demolish the shuffleboard courts for Forward Paths Foundation raises serious concerns. The nonprofit's leadership includes the spouse and son of a sitting commissioner, creating a perceived conflict of interest. While the city attorney claims no legal conflict, I believe, as does our attorney, that the situation may constitute a disproportional benefit under Florida statutes 112.313. I have filed a complaint with the Florida Commission on Ethics, and Commissioner Burry has been notified of said complaint. Public trust, I got the letter on Friday. You certainly should have too. I was carbon copied. This is my time. Public trust demands impartiality, and personal ties risk undermining that trust. Furthermore, the plan disproportionately affects seniors who represent 25% of Leesburg's population. The shuffleboard courts, a 50-year community asset, support recreation, social connection, and sports tourism through tournaments. Removing them to house 20 youth, or 0.07% of Leesburg's population, is not equitable. That is 0.07% being benefited. Homelessness requires comprehensive solutions, including housing and support services, which could be addressed elsewhere. I also question why alternative offers of free property, three that I know of, have been declined. Some of these in historically black neighborhoods, raising concerns of what might be racial motivations in the decision-making process. Pitting seniors against youth is unnecessary. Collaborative solutions can preserve community assets while meeting housing needs. I urge the Commission to pause this process, explore alternatives, including submitting a request for proposals from all appropriate Leesburg nonprofits to come up with a solution to the homeless problem. Doing all of this while upholding transparency and ethical integrity. And one question to the Commission. Based on the community support that we've received, we may need a change of venue for the meeting on the 25th. How will we be notified of that change of venue if it occurs?
Are there any public comments? All right. Yes.
Yes, Rick Tallman, representing the Leesburg Shuffleboard Club. I reside at 655 Abdallah Way, the Villages, Florida. And the reason we're speaking at this, we have requested to meet with you individually at the courts to see what you're actually voting on. And we're not getting that, so we're coming back to the public comment portion. By now, you should be able to see that the Leesburg Shuffleboard Club members are passionate about their sport. We sense that you seem to look down on the members that are part of the Shuffleboard Club that are from the villages, and that is so wrong. Please remember the fact that you are spending $10.5 million on the Susan Street Sports Complex to bring in recreational tourism. And that is exactly what villagers, part of the Leesburg Shuffleboard Club, are. We are recreational tourists coming here. Why are you being so hard on our members? Have you asked for any membership list of any other recreational sports facility within the city? Recreational tourism are meant to bring in outsiders to Leesburg, and that's what we do on a weekly basis at the Shuffleboard Club. It's been stated that Forward Pass has rejected at least 2 other vacant properties that were offered by the city. What is the reason for them rejecting that vacant land? Donating the LSC property is a lose-lose plan. If the land is donated, then the operating Shuffleboard Club facility gets demolished. If the city pays for that demolition, it's a total loss of taxpayer dollars that built the facility. If Forward Pass would be paying for the demolition, it would be a total waste of donation dollars when they've already been offered vacant land to build on. When it's stated that the city owns the Shuffleboard property, remember who the city is. It's the people. I don't know if you've been out talking with the people. We've been doing that by collecting signatures on a petition to save the Shuffleboard Club. And I'm going to present you with 15 pages of those that we have at this point. And I would also reiterate, by the overwhelming support that we've had from talking with people, you might want to have a bigger room for the next meeting. Thank you.
Rick, I would recommend that we hold on to the petitions until we have them all together.
Are you finished? We're not having a discussion back and forth. Any other public comments? All right. No other further public comments? You can set that right on the corner there. If you
My
have any
name's
public-
Alan
one second, sir.
Dronsfield.
If you have any public comments, I asked to form a line to keep the efficiency of the conduct of the meeting going. So if you are any public comments, please form a line. Thank you.
My name's Alan Dronsfield, 3409 Nursery Place, The Villages. I want to elaborate a little bit on his deal with the petitions. Rick and I hit the concrete starting at the corner of Canal Street and 44, Bethany down there, the real estate office. The warehouse, across from the warehouse is the doctor's office. We went to Nobles Marine, which I've been doing business with since 2005. I know the whole family very well, the skate world. We started at Canal Street and hit both sides of the street all the way to the Irish pub. No one that signed or refused to sign our petition. Everyone that did sign our petition was totally in favor of keeping that shuffleboard right where it's at. They don't want to see the kids there. They're adamantly against it, and I'm sure a lot of them are going to show up at the 25th. But everyone that signed those petitions was totally in favor of keeping shuffleboard where it belongs. No one denied signing petitions in favor of Forward Path. No one, zero. We covered a whole lot of businesses, the sports memorabilia shop, the candy store, places that children are probably going to end up going. They signed our petitions. They're adamantly against what you're trying to pull off here. I'm done. Thank you.
Good evening, Dina Simpson, Renew Day Spa, Renew Hair Salon, Renew Wellness. 2 of those locations are located in the Villages. I am a Village resident, but however, I am in the family community. We have been in this community for 15 years. I want to say that there was a comment just passed that no one denied signing that petition. No one stepped foot into my business located at 214 West Main Street. I did not sign that petition. I wholeheartedly support Forward Paths. For 15 years in this community, I, because I am not a village resident per se, am not allowed to compete with a village team, whether it's a dragon boat team or whether it's a swim club. I cannot go in their pool unless I'm with my parents, who are village residents. Mind you, I own 2 businesses on village property. So there's no special, I don't know, accommodations for a village business owner. There's not even any special accommodations for a villager that lives in a family community. So therefore, I can't go on one of their shuffleboard courts. I can't dragon boat at Sumter Landing. I can't dragon boat at Eastport in their new area. I've had to find a dragon boat team myself that is not affiliated with the Villages, and I pay a fee, a yearly fee, so I can compete with that team. And yes, I travel all throughout the world, to be honest. Italy, Germany, Montreal just 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I've had to go out and seek those other areas where I can turn around and use those facilities. I don't feel that it's fair that village residents who have shuffleboard courts provided for them, that they can go ahead and they can have tournaments, whatever size they may be. That's on the Villages that they didn't build that big enough. That's not Leesburg's responsibility. I also understand that now that the Villages has come onto Leesburg's property, or per se in their city, you can't just go out and say 25% of retirees. Not every retiree plays shuffleboard. We have to look forward to our future. My gosh, our future, our kids. Everybody wants to turn around and complain about the kids on the street and the kids here and the kids there. We need to turn around and show them some empathy. Who are we as people? I don't want to get religion involved, but my gosh, God is looking at us and just say, give back to your future. Give back to your future. A lot of villagers do go ahead and support other communities and other organizations, and I am appreciative of that. And I too turn around and do that. But we just need to look and see what's important. Thank you for your time.
Any other public comments? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Gail Howell. I'm president of the Leesburg Shuffleboard Courts Club. I live at 1313 Morey Court in Leesburg. I have not been involved these last 6 weeks because I've been up north with my daughter who has cancer. And she doesn't have a very good kind of cancer, and she's only 60. Things are kind of tough at home. She's one of 9 children, and I appreciate every single one of them and the way they act toward her. And that's the way our shuffleboard club acts. They are family-oriented. I welcome young children, that's fine. But I would never have one of my 18-year-olds living in a house by himself. That's not, I don't think that's the proper thing to do. I've been reading a book. It's called Tuesday with Maury. And this is what I got out of it today. The way you get meaning into your life is to devote yourself to loving others, not scratching at them all the time. Devote yourself to your community around you, and devote yourself to creating something that gives you purpose and meaning. Love is the only rational act. And I think that rather than fighting with people, we can find ways to help these young men or women, but not on our shuffleboard courts. We have about 90 members. We have 8 meets there a year, and we get up to 100 competitors. That alone gives money toward the community. We have a real rapport with others, and I think that that should continue. I think it's kind of odd that we've been asking for our courts to be done for the last year and a half, and we've gotten no place from you people. It's $22,000 to do our courts. That has always been maintained for 50 years. We've had no problem. I mean, we are one of the best courts around, and we are one of the best clubs around, and I hate to see it be lost. Thank you.
All right, we're going to close public comments and go to the consent agenda. Routine items are placed on the consent agenda to expedite the meeting. If the commissioner or staff wish to discuss any item, the procedure is as follows. 1, pull the items from the consent agenda. 2, vote on remaining items with 1 roll call vote. 3, discuss each pulled item and vote by roll call. Are there any items the commission would like to pull this evening? Seeing none, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Any public comments? Seeing none, roll call.
Commissioner Murray?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Mayor Reisman?
Yes. We're going to move on to 6, public hearings and non-routine items. During public hearings and non-routine items, the commission requests that those in attendance respect the process and maintain order. As in such, in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order, please refrain from speaking out, cheering, or applauding during these proceedings. Your cooperation helps ensure a fair and respectful hearing. I would ask the city attorney that he would swear in anyone to speak on any second or first readings this evening. So if you're here to speak on any second or first readings, the city attorney will swear you in.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Anybody here who's present this evening to speak on item 6A5, Lake Margaretta PUD rezoning, if you would, please stand and raise your right hand so we can swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that all testimony you'll give tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. All set, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Would someone please introduce 6A1?
I'll introduce item 6A1 to be read by title only, please.
Thank you.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, amending the city's Code of Ordinances, Chapter 25, Section 25-2-2, parentheses 18, mobile food vending, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date.
Thank you. Dan and Ms. Bex Van Allen, do you have a presentation for us?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We do. Dan Miller, Planning and Zoning. As you know, the city currently has a food vendor mobile food vendor ordinance, which it has had for several years. Normally in a city, a food vendor is required to get a permit and meet specific standards. However, just as some background, the Florida legislature has been in preemptive action mode lately. They have done some preemptive measures regarding permitting on food trucks under Section 509.102 of the Florida statutes, that's Chapter 509, which included removing the city's ability on food trucks to do licenses, registration, permits, and fees. At the June 9 and June 23 meeting, Senior Planner Max Van Allen presented some proposed changes to the mobile food vending ordinance, which are designed to meet the statutory requirements, these changes that the state made. At that time, the City Commission did ask for some specific changes to the proposed ordinance, so Ms. Van Allen is here tonight to provide an update based on the feedback that was provided by the Commission at those hearings, which I believe was June 9 and June 23rd.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Good evening, Commissioners. I would like to have us pull up some slides from Miss Anna. It should be the very first one for your presentation. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Tonight we are reviewing the mobile food vendor ordinance changes from our previous June 23 meeting. First, I would like to begin with some follow-up research based on questions Commission asked at our last meeting. And then I will go into some minor changes that happened between the June 23rd meeting and this meeting. So next slide, please. Thank you so much. Staff looked into some mobile food vendor statistics per Commission requests. Between 2023 and 2025, we have 19 mobile food vendor permits and letters of location compliance currently on record with our office. 7 of those 19 have a buffer conflict, or 37%. This means a restaurant within 200 feet. Per the property appraiser land use data, there are 99 restaurants within the Leesburg ISBA, and then there are also 7 major grocery stores. I also looked into the code issues. Majority of the code issues caused from mobile food vendors have been addressed with code enforcement prior to the issue rising to a full violation. Per code enforcement, they had one official closed case regarding a vendor that did not get a permit through staff, and that was rectified. And regarding food deserts, greater than 1 mile from fresh food is a standard research accepted distance to qualify an area, and I'll touch on that a little bit more. Next slide, please. This map shows the location of mobile food vendors and distinguishes ones with the 200-foot buffer conflict in red. So you can see those 7 on the north end of the city, and then 1 further south. The ones in yellow would be considered compliant at this point. Next slide. As for food deserts, we mapped the location of these vendors, also the 7 major grocery stores and the restaurants, then added a 1 mile buffer, as we discussed, around each major grocery store as the distance from fresh available foods. So based on this research, there are a couple areas in the north part of the city, across from 468 and 441, generally between US 27 and the mall, could be considered food deserts. I would like to note part of this is likely due to underlying zoning being more residential in these areas, but based on the research we found, I just wanted to bring this to Commission's attention since it was a concern. Next slide, please. We're looking in the south area of Leesburg, the CR 470 and CR 33 and the CR 48 areas could also be food deserts based on this definition. Again, in these areas, I would say this is likely due to residential zoning. Next slide. Thank you. Findings show that mobile food vendors are following similar patterns to big box grocers, such as being clustered at major intersections and along thoroughfares. Again, because we're limiting mobile food vendors to commercial, industrial, and planned zonings, they would naturally cluster along these corridors where that zoning is more prevalent. Restaurants are more scattered throughout the city. Staff believes this is a future issue we can investigate further, i.e. designated food truck alley site, and perhaps in one of these areas with a PUD specialty zoning. Tonight's meeting, we're going to bring it back to code adoption if City Commission wishes to adopt the code with the requested changes. Next slide. So in section F, exemptions, staff has clarified that a temporary use may be issued to a mobile food vendor for a maximum of 7 consecutive days, twice per year, on a property that meets location requirements. So therefore, they are eligible for a maximum of 14 total days within a calendar year, provided that 2 temporary use applications are provided to staff. Next slide, please. In section I, location requirements, staff has amended the language to measure the operational buffer, property line to property line, and this is the 200-foot buffer, as discussed previously. Next slide, please. In section K, mobile food trucks may now remain on site overnight, provided the truck is secured, equipment is stored inside, and the truck is not in operation beyond the business hours of the principal business. That was something contemplated at last meeting. In addition, staff has clarified that all mobile food trucks must be a minimum of 10 feet from the public right-of-way. That way, we are getting proper access and creating a situation that is more conducive to public safety. Staff is available for any questions or clarifications at this time.
We have a couple questions for you, Max.
Yes, sir.
Hand washing and bathrooms, are they required?
Yes, they are both. Hand washing is addressed by the statute and Florida Department of Health and DBPR. They require hand washing sinks for every mobile food vendor. We have also adopted that into the code per their definitions. So bathrooms, each site must have a principal open business, which would allow the customers to use the facilities there. Okay. Exactly.
And then if someone wanted to hire a food truck for a private party at their private residence, are they able to do that?
Under the a temporary situation that would allow this would be a maximum of 2 hours or less. They are not required to get a full permit. This is kind of like our ice cream truck exemption at this time, where if let's say they pull up for 2 hours and then pick up and leave, they would be permitted to do so, as that would not rise to a full location compliance situation.
Are there any ingress or egress rules?
So mobile food vendors are not required, or not permitted, to take up required parking on a site. So any parking spaces they take up would have to be over the amount permitted or required for the business. And then I also wanted to note the 10-foot from the public right-of-way rule that we've implemented again in this version. Otherwise, ingress and egress rules are the same as for the primary business on site. Okay. So they would not be permitted to block that.
I think that was all my questions.
Thank you.
First of all your presentations over the last few meetings have been excellent. When I read the packet, I guess I'm reading this table wrong, but on the 200-foot buffer, it says here there's 2 restaurant conflicts, but up here I think you're telling me it's like 37%. I'm just a little confused there.
Sure. I apologize for that. So the 37% number is the correct number. It's
Okay.
7 out of the 19.
I was hoping the 2 was the number.
No, unfortunately, no.
I know there's a lot of food truck vendors in the audience. Can you give a little breakdown of what the process would be and the different options? I think that was in part of in the packet.
Absolutely. I can discuss that further. So for a permanent vendor on site, that would be a letter of location compliance through the Planning and Zoning Office. They are welcome to call, email, or come into our front counter to go through that process, and we can assist them in any of those ways. That would involve coming to us with a site picked out They propose the site to us. We would check out the zoning to make sure it's compliant. If it's compliant, they would go ahead and get the information packet. They would provide us their contact information, their insurance information, and then a notarized piece of paper to take to the property owner to get notarized, excuse me. So the property owner would sign and notarize that they are giving consent for this vendor to be at this location. So that, coupled with the contact information, the insurance, and then the letter that staff writes saying the site is compliant, sends them forth for their fire inspection with Leesburg Fire Department. And once we get the okay from the fire department, they are free to vend, and we typically notify them via email that they are able to vend.
So there's a permit option, and then there's some other options as well, Max?
Absolutely. There's also the temporary use option, which is what we discussed. Can you go back a few slides? One more right there. Yep, thank you so much. It's the maximum of 7 consecutive days, twice per year. So again, maximum 14 days within a calendar year with 2 applications to staff. No more than 3 mobile food vendors per property, but this is more for like a weekend event situation. We wanted to have a pathway that, let's say, if you're not interested in vending full-time somewhere, or you want to check the site out to see if it's like a profitable spot, you could apply for a temporary use prior to vending and then vend on site. Lastly would be through our special events with the city, and they would go through the City of Leesburg Recreation Department for that avenue.
And just to clarify, there's no fees for the...
There are no fees.
Thank you. That's all I had.
Can you explain why the limitation of time? You said 14 days? Why is there a limit if it's approval with a business or
Sure.
whatever?
So that's for the temporary option only. This is more meant for, let's say someone is coming elsewhere from Lake County for a weekend event, like a local business wants 3 trucks to show up. It's more for that sort of situation for their grand opening bash, something like that, rather than a permanent basis of being there full-time, vending, you know, Monday through Saturday or whatever the principal business has.
Okay.
So does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And if a vendor, I just want to add on, and if a vendor wants to do 2 spots on different areas, how would that be for temporary? If they're not sure yet if this is conducive financially for them, if that's a good spot or not. So can they have an option to go to the north side of town and then another day to the south side of town?
There is nothing that would prohibit that under
Okay.
this. So they could apply for 2 separate, let's say, a 3-day weekend here and a 3-day weekend there to see what is the best spot to come in for permanent use. That would not be a problem.
Any other commission comments? Yes, sir.
So I am okay with the general package. If we adopt this tonight with the 200-foot border, there's a chance that 7 vendors will have to close. Is that correct?
They would have,
Without getting a letter?
correct. We would
That
exempt
7 of
them
them
if
would
needed.
close if they don't get a letter.
What
Commissioner,
would...
we
go
could
ahead.
exempt them if you like. We give them the grandfather treatment, so to speak, existing non-conforming like you would in zoning, if that would
We
be
could do that,
preferable.
or what's
We'd
the
be
buffer
happy.
that would bring them into compliance? 100 feet
100 feet.
for grandfathered in?
Under the 200 foot.
Under
So,
200 foot would bring them in. Okay. So you could grandfather those 7 vendors in.
The instructions were to make sure no one was caused to go out of business, as I understood them from the last meeting.
Yeah.
So we were thinking about if we could use the existing non-conforming, someone who is properly, does have their letter now, we could certainly note that, and they could continue. We wanted to be sure that that was brought out.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with the existing grandfathered, but they have to meet all of our rules, the rules and regulations when it comes to compliance, when it comes to like generators, self-sufficiency and stuff, things like that.
Yes, sir.
I'm okay with that.
I'm fine with that. So we're impacting 7 food vendors. Have we identified, I know we talked about sites where they could group up in groups of 3. Do we have those identified yet? I saw some.
There was on the packet, there was 3 locations, one by the high school across the street, and then the resource center.
I didn't know if those were
mall.
confirmed or not.
No,
And last meeting we were, okay. Okay. I mean, I guess where I'm going with this is maybe a grace period. I mean, I think it'd be prudent for us to offer the vendors, have some sites identified, at least it gives them somewhere to go in the meantime. They can probably find other sites.
I think most of them have sites currently.
Yeah, but we're forcing them to move.
No, the 7 would be grandfathered in.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But those 7, any additional would have.
I
to
thought it
be
was a temporary
compliant.
agreement. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a lot better. The only thing I don't want to overly complicate it. The only thing I was going to add to the equation is because I was reading about what other cities have done. This has been a tough subject. But, for example, I'll use, I hate to single him out, but I'll take La Palma. Yeah, he's got a food truck right next door. I would not want a Mexican food truck next door to a Mexican restaurant. I don't know if that's been talked about at all.
Can we?
I mean, you may not care. I didn't know if I did read other cities were doing that where there were differences. Where a guy comes in, parks up a direct competitor. I don't know. I don't want.
I don't have answers to that because I've only had one good conversation with someone who owns a restaurant regarding food trucks. I've had no complaints from restaurant owners. I've had no one bringing this to my attention. I sought out Oakwood Will and asked him. And his opinion was that it's not the same customer.
Okay. And I've had 0 complaints, by the way, about the food trucks.
So, I just think, and there may be some disagreement, and I might not be right.
We're having a discussion, guys.
But I haven't had people complain to me that own restaurants, and I would hate to put people out of business that are making a living. So.
I think
we're not.
I think we should let the market, if I may, let the market make that decision because it's awfully tough. And as was stated in the previous meeting, we don't want to see these guys go out of business.
I knew that.
We just want to be compliant with the state statutes.
Yeah, and I knew we talked about 3 sites. I guess I wasn't clear where we were with those sites, so I'll just try to show some.
I want to pursue that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
The verbiage in there is still about the property has to be code compliant.
Correct.
Okay.
That verbiage is still in there. And staff is happy to do additional research on those sites or other sites that may work.
I think the commission. I think we're all in favor of looking at additional sites for a food truck alley of some sort.
We had initially identified, I believe it was 3, but we have not had a chance to fully get into all of the issues that would come with each of those. We need to look if there's public property available or if there's private property available, then that would cause contract issues that could be handled between the food truck owners and the private property owners, but then we got to check zoning. So there's a bunch of things that go into this. It's not as simple as what it may seem, but we're interested in doing some more study on that to suggest some locations. Then perhaps if it's okay, we could contact the property owner, see if they're interested, and also see if the city has any property, which we believe the city may have at least one spot.
Okay.
That would work.
Okay. Before we.
This is a second reading, so do we need to make a motion to amend the ordinance?
Yes, for the grandfathering. Correct. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's right.
Grant the 7 that are out of compliance.
That are out of compliance, or that would be adversely affected.
Do we want to allow public comments before we?
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
Make sure we're on the same page.
And the question also, if we're going to consider private property or not property, I think we should extend a little more time before we make any decisions on this, because I think it's fair enough for, if I'm hearing right, you just said making a motion to amend until a later date, right?
No.
No, just to grandfather.
The grandfather, the 7 in, okay, right. That's, okay, but what about the fact of now considering private property as well as city property?
The existing units are completely on private property. What staff was actually trying to indicate was we would like to look at public property, see if there's anything that's possible there, and also look at private property to see if there's any place that's large enough that could have a food truck venue, like a food truck specific place, a food truck mall or something. And so that takes some time for us to work on, but we have already started it. And if the commission would like us to continue in that direction, we would be glad to do so.
I have a potential spot for you. I'll get with you after.
Thank you.
Now, I have another question. Now, when we identify these spots, is this to be remain for what type of duration? Because wouldn't it be fair for a truck to go wherever they want to go to sell, or?
What we've seen, I've seen in different states, and downtown Jacksonville, for example, in Florida, there is an area, I believe it's private property, that is specifically for food trucks, and they stay there year-round. And if we would love to have something like that, I've been in some other states where they have created a food truck alley. So there's really some creativity here that could be applied, and we'd love to hear from the owners as well on their ideas.
And just piggybacking off that comment, we have it capped at 3. I'm thinking out loud to get private property owners. I mean, I wouldn't mind bumping that a little bit.
We initially identified 3 as potential, but since we haven't
No,
talked to
I meant the
owner-
number of trucks. Did I read it wrong? I thought I read we were capped at 3 trucks per site. Did I read that wrong? Okay, I'll be quiet.
There are 3 sites.
Okay.
They have
I thought the food alley sites were limited
Three
to.
sites we'd identified for food truck malls.
And I thought I read those sites were limited to 3 food trucks per site. Okay, my bad.
That is only for the temporary
Okay.
use. This would be a full-time venture that we'd be contemplating.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
One last thing I just thought of, speaking of Commissioner Burry's comments. The ones that were grandfathered in, they would still have to meet with the principal owner and get the letter and all that stuff, correct?
They already have that.
They already have that.
Because they're
Okay.
on record as having a letter of location compliance. It's just the new
Gotcha.
buffer rule
Okay.
that would make them non-compliant at this time.
And all those ones are aware of the potential changes when it comes to water, electric, things like that?
They would be, we would get with them because
Okay.
we have them identified and
Okay.
can work with them directly
Okay.
to make sure that's
Very
not an issue.
Any other?
I would just add on to Commissioner Burry's comments as far as an amended motion to address the grandfathering in of these 7 businesses, that we make some kind of condition as far as that they're the 7 businesses with existing letters on file with the city, so that there's some way to at least
Identify
clearly
them.
to identify who those particular vendors are to avoid confusion.
Yeah, so thank you, Dan and Maximilian. We're going to open it up for public comments. If you would, please state your name and address. Maybe give us the name of your food truck so we have an idea who it is. And you have 3 minutes, guys. Thank you. And if you would, form a line up here. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon. My name is Simeon Fountain. I'm owner-operator of IQ 225 Barbecue, located off of Main Street. So good afternoon, commissioners and our esteemed mayor. I want to jump right in and talk about the word perception. In 18 years in the senior leadership role working in healthcare, that's one of the hardest lessons I had to learn as a leader. Having to learn how to own someone's perception of me, even if it was wrong, but I had to own it in order to fix it. Here are some of my perceptions thus far. Because I'm an owner-operator of a mobile restaurant, somehow I'm beneath those who are in the brick and mortar. I submit to you all that I live in the community, city, and county where my mobile restaurant does business. I bought my generator from a local business. They actually built it for me. It's an amazing generator. I buy my gas from local gas stations. I buy all my meat from a local grocer. So I know I'm providing the best quality meat. My business pays taxes to the city of Leesburg. I own a home that pays taxes to the city of Leesburg. My family and I have been and will continue to be contributing members of our community. We have been advocating for Leesburg PD since 2010. Sergeant Daniels, who has retired, he can definitely attest to that. We've partnered with other mobile restaurants, Charles Louis, who's here right now. I don't know where he is. There he is. We've fed local fire departments out of our pocket just to show them thanks. We've also done the same for special needs groups. My wife and I are parents of 2 special needs children, so that's near and dear to our hearts. And even our esteemed mayor helped quarterback logistically our efforts to feed over 80 homes after Hurricane Milton left parts of Leesburg without power for over 5 days. None of the aforementioned you will see on any social media page or site, because those were not a look at me situation. Rather, our community called out for help and we answered that call. Simple as that. I've been hearing things of some people don't like feather flags. We need to draw customers' attention somehow, let them know that we're open. We're not a brick and mortar, but still, we're not less than brick and mortar. Suffice to say, whether we're brick and mortar or mobile, we're all restaurateurs. So I'm sure there's some brick and mortar restaurateurs in this room, as well as I know there are some mobile restaurateurs in this room. There should not be a line dividing us, defining us as to who we are.
Thank you, sir.
Can I just make one last suggestion?
I'm a stickler for time, so I apologize.
Stickler for time.
Yeah. If I give it to you, then I have to give it to everyone.
Gotcha.
Thank you, sir.
Leesburg Bike Week. Look internal, Leesburg.
Yes, sir.
Enough said.
Good afternoon. My name is Colon Robles. I am one of the owners of Super Tacos Truck. My wife and I, we owned it. We own also the small plaza, as I said last time. I'm talking about the self-sufficient part of we also don't use power directly from our own businesses that we own. I got 2 suites in my plaza that I actually have power, and I pay to the city all the fees only for half that. I'm not opposed that maybe extra tax is being imposed to my electric because I'm feeding my food truck. Maybe a fee, okay, you got a food truck, you have to pay $50 extra a month. But all the pollutions that come from a generator running all the time, all the extra work, extra expense, we have to, when we run with food truck, we have to have at least 25-gallon gas tanks in our store to be putting in the generator all the time. I pay electricity, I pay taxes in my home. I live here in Leesburg, and 148 Armenia Road. I own the plaza. I just paid my property tax 5-6 months ago, $10,000 for my business. I still feel like somehow we've been targeted, and we are trying to make business better. I'm trying, right now I'm in the middle of a nightmare changing the roof. It's a lot of things in that. I get rid of things that was addressed, like my boat. I sold it, almost gone my camper that I have. I mean, I've been taking care of everything that you guys require, Mayor. And I got plans. I got big plans. I'm gonna carpet the plaza. I'm gonna do a lot of things there. I'm gonna make it look good, look beautiful. But I want some support on your behalf. I mean, we are trying to, grow up, make things better. Business, live. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comments? Yes, sir.
My name is Michael Conover. I'm the owner of Steak Shack Bistro and Catering. Our home base is at Dirty South Saloon, right across from Gator Harley. A lot of people know the spot. I'm going to touch on quite a few of everything on this. I'm going to start with the whole 2-hour rule, all right? Steak Shack Bistro and Catering. I don't know if you guys know about catering, but if you're going to go cater a wedding, it takes 2 hours just to set up, all right? Us, as mobile vendors, we have our health health management certificate. We know how to handle food. We have refrigeration. We have all the components to do exactly what restaurants should be doing. We should be given our appropriate time to serve how we want to serve. We know how to do it. We got this far with the business. Along with that, this far with the business, food trucks have evolved. They're not roach coasters no more. We know what we're doing. We have industrial equipment in our trucks. We don't have little skillets, all right? So it's not what it used to be, all right? Going to the potential food deserts and these grayed off areas where you guys obviously don't want us. We're there because of the business, right along with all the other businesses that are there. People who go to downtown as businesses, they open a business there because it's thriving. That goes for all businesses. No one wants to open a business where it's not thriving. Why would we open up somewhere where we're not going to sell the food, sell our product? That makes no sense. You're going to kill us right there. Another thing with the food truck alley, why would we want to sell right next to another food truck? We're separated right now. Do you see another food truck within 200 feet of another food truck out here? No. You see a restaurant next to restaurant, y'all don't say anything about that. Customer base, all right. You saying that a sit-down family is going to go instead to a food truck, even though they have plans to go to this restaurant all day? No, they're going to go to that restaurant because they want to go sit down. People who go to the food trucks are going to the food trucks because they want to go to that food truck. They're getting that home-cooked meal, all right? That's what they want. There's a total difference in food trucks and restaurants. If a restaurant is mad that a food truck is next to them selling, that restaurant needs to reevaluate their business because obviously if a food truck scares them, then that's their problem, not ours, all right? I can go on all day, but I'm sure you got my point here. Thank you.
So that was for like an event, like if you wanted to hold a party at your house.
Yeah, we need to amend that.
So I'd be fine amending that.
Okay, so I just wanted to get.
It's in my notes. So, all right. Yes, public comments? Yes.
I'm a food truck owner as well. My name is Eric Reese, owner and proprietor of Miss Tommy Lee Soul Food and Barbecue. I came down to the meeting, even though I'm not really in the area. When y'all adopted the laws earlier this year, you made me leave the area. I was set up at the Brooker Bait and Tackle. I've been there 2 years. I had great clientele and everything. When you told me I couldn't have my signs and my chairs and my tents out, my customers like to come to my food because I got soul food and barbecue. They want to sit down and eat, pick their teeth a little bit, talk and run their mouth. You know what I'm saying? So that really got to me. Well, I got to go where I can keep my people happy. So I went back to Fruitland. I went to Fruitland Park. I'm at 7-Star. I'm out there every weekend. I got the same clientele. So it's not really bothering me. I came down here because this is my family. We all together. We all come up from dirt, most of us. We ain't had silver spoons or none of this here. I'm gonna be honest with you. I started off selling drugs when I was a young man. That's why my life was like it was, but I turned it around. I got everything right. Now I can sleep at night because I got me a business. The Lord has blessed me, and the rest of my friends have been blessed. And all I want is a fair share to do the same thing that y'all been doing the whole while. Make a living, man, and love, and everybody love them. That's all I want to talk about.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Any other public comments? All right. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Constance Brown. My address is 7230 Plantain Drive, Orlando, Florida. I am the wife or First Lady of Pastor Alonzo C. Brown, Zion Hope Missionary Baptist Church. We're in Carver Heights. So I have a question, more of a question, when you talk about food trucks. We're getting ready to bring a bus in to serve vegetables. Is that going to be allowed? Because when I called, I was told we didn't require a permit for that. But I'm listening to all these rules. That would be considered a food truck as well. Am I correct?
I'll let staff.
Is that considered a food truck?
Ms. Brown, I do not think so. This is a service of your church.
To the
Something
community.
that's to the community?
It's
I
for the
don't know.
community. So it doesn't matter where we park it on our property.
You're going to take it to the church?
It's gonna be at the
On the
church.
church property?
Yes, McCormick
No,
Street.
it's not a food truck. That's-
So I don't have to follow these rules then, correct?
So when you say you're serving vegetables, are you
Yes.
cooking things to
No,
serve? It's more
fresh,
like a
fresh vegetables. It's a fresh
more like
bus.
a farmer's market.
Yes, more like a farmer's market. So I'm good? Thank you.
I would assume you, I can't speak to the code, but this isn't the same thing.
Okay,
don't
because
know
I
what the
called
farmer's
code.
market code
Yes, I called code and they told me it wasn't required.
There you
But
go.
then when I saw this, I just need to make sure before we start. All right, thank you very much.
All right. Any other public comments? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comments. So the last thing we talked about was amending the window from 2 hours. Do you guys want to go? I mean, it could take 2 hours to set up, so, you
I
know.
mean, I would go up to 24 hours. I mean, if a guy wants to set
Well,
up
that's
the
in a
night
private
before.
residence home and stuff like that.
Okay. I'm just thinking out loud. I don't want to hinder their, how much time do you need?
If it's a wedding, at least 4, and then we have an hour.
Depending on what food you got, I got seafood, so I need 4 hours.
It's too many variables.
Okay. So,
So 6 hours.
Six.
6 hours
Six
seems like it'd make
hours.
them happy.
all right, all right, thank you.
So I'd like to make a motion that we amend the
2 hour
the
window.
ordinance from 2 hours to 6 hours. 6 hours. And then also
There was,
that we.
The grandfather in
That
this.
we grandfather in all businesses that qualify, which would be 7 according to the 200-foot buffer, that we would, and we identify them. How do you want to say that, Grant?
I think based on the letter of approval that currently exists on file with the city.
Okay.
can I get the audience to remain quiet? Thank you. All right, so we have a
So
motion
did-
on the floor.
Yeah, so moved.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any further discussion? Nope. So roll call on the motion, amended motion.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Bury?
Yes.
Mayor Reesman?
Yes. And now we need, we have a motion and a second already on the original motions. We should need to do a roll call on that as well. Any further discussion on that?
Commissioner Berry?
What is this going on?
This is the original motion.
Oh,
As amended.
As amended,
yes.
yes.
Sorry.
Commissioner Bury?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Mayor Reesman?
Yes. Would someone please introduce 6A2?
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only, please.
Sorry.
You're good. Don't feel like you need to rush.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida pursuant to Section 196.1978, parentheses 3, parentheses 0, Florida statutes, electing to not exempt property under Section 196.1978, parentheses 3, parentheses D 1.A, Florida statutes, commonly known as the Live Local Act property tax exemption for certain multifamily rental units, providing for findings, providing for opt-out, providing for applicability, providing for advertising and notice to the property appraiser, providing for no waiver of rights, providing for an effective date and expiration, providing for severability and conflicts, and providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Good? Any comments? Any public comments? Seeing none, roll call.
Commissioner Bury?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Mayor Reesman?
Yes. Would someone please introduce 6A3, 4, and 5 to be read by title only?
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only.
6A3, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, annexing certain real property consisting of approximately 91.07 plus minus acres, being generally located south of County Road 48 and east of Number 2 Road, lying in Sections 17 and 20, Township 20 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, provided that said property so annexed shall be liable for its proportionate share of the existing and future indebtedness of said city, providing that such annexed property shall be subject to all laws and ordinances of said city, as if all such territory had been a part of the City of Leesburg at the time of passage and approval of said laws and ordinances, providing that such annexed territory shall be placed in City Commission District 3, and providing an effective date. 6A4, an ordinance amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the city of Leesburg, changing the future land use map designation of certain real property consisting of approximately 91.07 plus minus acres, being generally located south of County Road 48 and east of Number 2 Road, lying in sections 17 and 20, Township 20 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date. 6A5, an ordinance of the city of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 196.07 plus minus acres from Lake County A agriculture, city RE1 estate density residential, and city A agriculture to city of Leesburg PUD planned unit development to allow for 586 detached single-family residences for a property generally located south of County Road 48 and east of Number 2 Road, lying in sections 17 and 20, Township 20 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, Andy.
A motion to approve 6A3.
We have a motion. We read all three. We read all three. Yeah, we need a motion to approve before we can go to discussion. Okay, so we have a motion and discussion. Mr. Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This project is called Lake Margaretta Estates. It includes an annexation, large-scale comp plan, and rezoning. The overall proposal is for a land area of 196 plus or minus acres. It's generally located south of County Road 48 and east of Number 2 Road, as seen on the maps here. Western border of this property lies along Number 2 Road and is adjacent to the Eagle Tail Landing project, which is underway for phases 1 and 2 just across the street and also in the city limits. Approximately 103 of these 196 acres of the property are already within the city limits. That 103 acres has a city zoning has two city zoning districts, agricultural and estate density residential. And that 103 acres also has a future land use of estate. Because part of the land already lies within the city limits, the comp plan amendment for this property is for the remaining 90 plus or minus acres, and the zoning is for the entire 196 acres. So we have the legal descriptions worked out and everything on that. The comp plan amendment for the property is for that remaining 90 acres, and that is a request going from Lake County future land use of rural transition and rural to City of Leesburg Estate. The zoning for that project, for the entire project, is from Lake County Agriculture, City RE1, which is the estate density residential, and City Agriculture to City of Leesburg PUD. The background on this request is for future development of 586 detached single-family units, which is seen in the conceptual site plan, which is in your packets. We have sent this project out to all of the city departments in Lake County. The city departments had no comments on it, and that indicates that capacity is available for water, wastewater, gas, et cetera, for the infrastructure needed to support it. The school board noted that the project would be subject to a school concurrency review, and that indicates that there would be a future school board mitigation agreement that would be needed. There was one in your packets earlier tonight. It would be the same thing. Lake County Public Works received the project and reviewed it and had numerous comments regarding and including, and I'm summarizing here, but they had a lot of comments, a possible traffic light, turn lanes, the need for additional right-of-way, and maintaining some existing easements, adding sidewalks, and then drainage and stormwater improvements. That's pretty standard for any of these type developments. Under the PUD requirements, the proposal consists of a total of 586 detached single-family homes, 2 floors, maximum height. This would be a platted subdivision, so individual units would be sold. No other uses are permitted in this proposal. The lots will come in 3 different sizes, 50, 60, and 70-foot widths. Of those lots, approximately 316 or 55% would be in the 50-foot widths, and those would have a minimum house size of 1,700 square feet. approximately 155 units, or about 25% of those lots would come in 60-foot widths, and there would be an 1,800 square foot house minimum. And then the remainder of approximately 115 units, or 20%, would have 70-foot wide lots with a minimum of 1,900 square foot houses. And then there's a minimum of 2 off-street parking spaces for each unit in the development. There are design and architectural standards that apply, as they do to all of our PUDs. There's a list within the PUD of architectural features, and the developers are required to select 5 of those features for each home. 35% of the property would be in open space. That is exceeded in this request. We do, as a standard in our PUDs, require dark sky lighting, and there's significant buffering to adjacent properties provided in the PUD, including a 25-foot buffer tract around the entire property. The landscape buffers around that property are not part of the lot, so they are separate and must be maintained by an HOA. There's Bahia or Bermuda grass allowed in place of St. Augustine, as we're constantly trying to get rid of St. Augustine as it uses a lot of water. 2 trees required on each lot. There's signage at the entryway, the entryway would be a boulevard entryway featuring a concrete brick or stucco walls on each side, or, and we're going to get into some changes here, or a sign in the middle of the boulevard landscape feature. There's 2.7 acres of recreational use area required, which would include swimming pool, cabana, on-site parking, children's playground, gazebos, dog parks, and trails. The retention areas, some of which may normally be dry, could be used as fields for play areas, and the recreation amenities must be constructed by the time at least 50% of the residential units are completed. In addition, this entire development has to be on city water and wastewater, so there's no wells or septics, and there is, of course, the standard phasing clause that requires the development move forward to a substantial commencement level within 4 years, or the property automatically reverts to the RE1 zoning requirements, which is 1 acre per unit. Now, I wanted to bring to your attention that in discussion with staff, the developer did make some requests of the PUD, which we found to be perfectly fine. Unfortunately, I think I added the wrong copy into your packet, but they're very minor, and I'd like to go over those with you at this moment. Under the acreage, it says, in our PUD, it says 196.07, and the developer is saying it's 195.6. So that's covered by the plus or minus and approximately, but in the effort to be accurate, we agree certainly to make that type of change. Under the lot size minimums, they made a request that staff agrees with in that there is a request for 586 units. And they're on different lot sizes, 50, 60, and 70 square feet. In the PUD, it currently would say you need 316 as a minimum on 50s, 155 as a minimum on 60-foot lots, and 115 on the 70s. That's standard language in our PUDs. What we have found, though, is there are times when there are engineering issues or problems on the land when they get out there and do soil samples and engineering work like that. And what that can potentially cause is that the PUD comes up short of a minimum number. If we're saying you need 200 of this size lot, but they can only get 198, they shouldn't be, if we're saying you need a minimum of 200 lots of this particular size, and they can't make that 200-foot minimum, we decided if we leave it with those numbers, but we throw in the percentages, so the 55% equals the 316 lots, the 25 equals 155, but it allows some shifting in there if there's a problem with the engineering. And then at the end of the project, you're still consistent with the planned unit development. The total number of units does not change, the density does not change, but it will not find them technically out of compliance. So we'd like you to consider that. It's just saying you have to do 55% of this size, 20% of that size. That's all it is. It's the only difference. But it does not impact the density, the total lot number, and we'd like to do that. Under item 6E, open space, there's amended language for the fencing requirement to allow fencing as shown on the master development plan. What the current requirement says is fencing all the way around the PUD. And what we've begun doing some time ago is not requiring that fencing, particularly when it is by a wetland area. You don't need a fence if you've got a wetland, nothing's coming across that. So we'd like to do that. Under site access and signage, which is under item 7D, we'd like to revise the wording to allow a sign within the landscape areas within the boulevard entrance. The wording right now, when you come in the boulevard entrance, would have a 5-foot sign on each side of the road. They said, can we just do one sign in the middle of the boulevard landscaped area? That's not a problem from staff's perspective. You can do either or both. Doesn't really make any difference. Under 13B, they would like to ask for one large recreation area instead of 2 smaller ones. They'd still be able to break it up into 2 smaller ones if they wanted to, but if they find some good land for the recreation area, and staff has never had a problem with this kind of thing, seems to work. So we had previously agreed to all those changes, but for some reason, I'm not sure. I think I just didn't load the correct document, and we want to go over those. So if you choose to approve this project, staff is respectfully requesting that the motion would include those changes. And there are a number of folks here. I believe Mr. Mike Rankin is here to speak to this case, and a number of other folks from the developer. They do have a PowerPoint to show you if you're interested in seeing that. Thank you.
Yes, Dan, no access to number 2 road.
That is correct.
But
there's
in
an
the-
emergency, I believe, but
Right,
that's it.
Just through, but they're part of the county all along the border. They've got to do road improvements to number 2 road. Is that, did I read that wrong?
Well, if they annex, then they would have to do, if I can point this, they would have to, anything along number 2 road, here we go, they would have to improve all the way along there.
Okay.
Anything that's adjacent to number 2.
But their traffic is not to go on number 2.
That's correct.
Wow.
Any other questions?
When you say improve, I mean, I think of like, what am I trying to say? Ingress, egress, turn lanes and so forth. Are you saying they have to widen the road, or are you?
If you go out there now, you'll see some major improvements that have been done to number 2 road. If you're going, I guess it's
Okay,
east
from
on
that
48,
first development.
you turn right. They're talking about something similar to that, because it used to be number 2 road bumps right into 48, and it's very small and
Right.
insufficient. Eagle Tail Landing, when they came in, they expanded, added turn lanes, and that would go back.
Okay.
And Lake County controls that, and our PUDs are written to support Lake County in that.
Okay, I was
in
just
that
going
matter.
off here. Did you have anything else? I had one comment question.
Yes, sir.
I've said this on numerous developments. The neighbor. I mean, if I live next to this development, I would rather have a landscape buffer than a fence. All I'm saying
Sure.
is, I'm open to, making compromise there. I worry about these fences not looking good in 5-10 years. Whereas the landscape buffer
Yes,
will
sir.
get better and better. But that's up to the developer and the nearby residents what they want.
There's some language in many of the PUDs, I believe it's in this one, that allows, if the developer comes up with a better solution, that we can work it out at the staff level. For example, often if there is a requirement for a 6-foot fence, but they come in with a 4-foot split rail, that might be considered much more attractive. Or if there is a large buffer that is undisturbed, we can work with them.
Okay, I was just trying to give you flexibility with
Yes, sir, thank
the adjoining property owners, because we've had a few people come here and they wanted landscape buffers on different developments.
Yes, sir.
Versus fencing.
Okay.
One last question, Dan,
Yes.
and maybe I missed it. Does this include for the ponds and to have aerators or fountains as well? I didn't see it in here, but maybe I missed it.
I would like to add that.
So
I'm not
So
sure that it's
our-
in there.
our-
I will make sure that it is.
Current
Thank you for that.
PUDs have, if the pond is to have an aerator and/or fountain.
I do not remember,
I think it's to
Mr.
have a
Mayor,
fountain.
but
To keep it clean and keep.
that is one of the changes that was requested by the commission, and we really like that, along with the 35% open space and dark sky lighting, and I will make sure that it's in there.
Okay, all right. Any other questions for Dan before we go to the developer? All right, if the developer would like, when we could do their presentation.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the commission, and audience. For the record, Mike Rankin, owner of Land Planning Group on 2050 Classic Lane in Tavares. My wife will tell you the only productive comment I had tonight was the thunder Jimmy stole, that there'll be no ingress egress off number 2 road. So I fulfilled my task for my wife tonight. We do agree with the stipulations that Dan has written into the PUD, and I will yield my time to Tom Daly, who's going to walk you through the project quickly.
Good evening. My name is Tom Daly. I'm an urban planner and a landscape architect, 913 North Pennsylvania Avenue, Winter Park, Florida, Daly Design Group, and we're here on behalf of the applicant. A very brief presentation. Dan here covered everything that I was going to talk about, but just so you can see the item on the picture on the left is kind of the current condition. The north 73 acres is currently not within the city, but the major portion of the central part of the project is already within the city. About 53% of the property is already within the city. It already contains the future land use that we had requested. The key of including that northern piece is that right now, the only access this property has is to number 2. So by incorporating that northern piece, that gives us the ability to access only on the north side. So that's the other 2 pieces we're annexing are 2 smaller pieces that were just not annexed in the past. So like Dan was saying, we have roughly 586 single-family homes, no multifamily, no townhomes, all detached single-family homes. We're asking for a PUD, which kind of controls everything with the architecture. If you can go to the next one, please. Do I have a clicker? Oh, sorry. All righty. There we go. This is the plan. This is a very conceptual plan, but kind of shows a main road coming in off of County Road 48, comes back and serves all the way down to the middle southern portion of the property. This exhibit just simply shows that the darker shaded areas are already in the city, and the orange and the yellow are the ones that we're proposing to annex. And then this is just the master plan overlaid. The access to number 2 road is emergency only. There are some folks that utilize that, and so we're working with them on coming up with a gate. We're going to put an emergency gate in and then give the residents that currently use that the clickers or whatever mechanism we decide to do. So that way our residents can't go in and out, but the folks that live kind of where we're wrapping around, they can either use our road, the public roads, because this is all public road development, or they can use Gospel Hill, either one. So we're not changing the character of how they ingress and egress their property. So there's some examples of the homes styles. We have 3 different home lot types that are proposed, the smaller being 50-foot wide with 5-foot setbacks on either side. There's provisions in the PUD about the drainage for all of that, with the gutters and the things. But this is just some examples of the kind of homes that we're intending to develop in here. It'll more than likely be 1 or more builders. A lot of times in these larger developments, you'll have maybe 2 builders that'll be doing different products, so that makes it even more less cookie cutter development where you're going to have different styles coming in. But this is just an example of like what on a 60-foot lot would be. And then this is the 70-foot lot. So it'll be a mixture of 1-story and 2-story. Regarding what Dan was talking about with regards to the updates and revisions or clarifications within that development agreement, we're in agreement with everything that Dan pointed out. One thing I would like to point out that we had talked with Dan is on the 60-foot lot product, we are asking for 5-foot side yard setbacks instead of the 7.5. The 7.5 side yard setback would be for the 70-foot lots. The reason we do that, or we're asking for that, is that builders, they have a 40-foot pad, they have a 50-foot pad, they have a 55, 60-foot pad. The 60-foot lots with the 7.5 minus the 15 on both sides basically makes the product that would be on a 50-foot lot be on the 60-foot lot. Same pad width. And so if you're agreeable to allow us to have 5-foot setbacks on the 60-foot and the 50-foot, which is already in your draft ordinance, that'll give us the ability to add another housing type. It's just the way that they set up their building program. So in addition to everything that Dan said that we agree with, and we're happy that that was brought forward, if you would consider having on the 60-foot lots in the development agreement, there's a kind of a list of setbacks and square footages. The only thing that we would want on the 60-foot lots is that we're able to do a 5-foot setback with the provisions of gutters and all the various things because of the drainage.
What are the setbacks on the 50-foot lots? I assume they're 5
They're
and 5.
5, and then,
okay.
and then when you get to the bigger lots, they're 7.5. So, but really, we've been working with staff on this, and everything that they've brought forward, we're agreeing to, and we're just here to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for the developer?
Just one question. The folks in the rural area in the middle, they have had no complaints? There's no information
No,
from them?
we had a community meeting, and there were some folks that were less comfortable than others, but the folks in the middle, one of them's here tonight, and they're in support.
So
No.
if there's no further commission comments, we'll open it up to public comments.
Oh, and I would like to, if there is public comments,
Yes,
have
I
the
will give you
opportunity to
time
come back up.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I will give you time. Are there any public comments for this item? If you would, please, yes, this is the time for public comments. Okay. Yep. 3 minutes. State your name and address, please.
Sandy Russ, 6813 Lakeview Drive, Yalaha. In the area bounded by County Road 48 and Number 2 Road, there are approximately 2,000 homes. Add to this the 2,636 homes and developments which have started construction in Howey and Leesburg and proposed Lake Margaretta development. You can see this will more than double the number of houses in this area, which will increase the population and the traffic. The Lake Margaretta traffic impact analysis used the historic growth rate of 2% for calculations. With the number of new developments in this area, commercial and residential developments on US 27, using only the historic growth factor did not seem reasonable to me. The FDOT Project Development and Environment Manual for Traffic Analysis states, in areas that are experiencing substantial growth, construction of parallel facilities and changes in land use should consider growth rates based on population and employment growth. I found similar recommendations for this type of calculation in other FDOT manuals for areas that are experiencing population growth. I could not find in the traffic analysis report where developments such as Eagle Tail or Lake Hills were listed or shown on maps, which would indicate that the traffic from these developments had been included in the calculations. The analysis report states that there will be significant impact on County Road 48 from US 27 to Lime Avenue, and the intersection at US 27 and County Road 48 will be exacerbated slightly with background growth and development trips. This intersection, US 27 and County Road 48, already experiences significant issues due to the high volume of traffic. It would also be prudent to consider that drivers will opt to bypass the traffic congestion on County Road 48 by using Number 2 Road as a shortcut. This is another recipe for disaster. The Biological and Environmental Survey identified fernery and citrus production operations from 1941 to 1957. Based on the chemicals used for these operations during that time period, there is a high potential for arsenic contamination in the ground. I did not find any discussion in the report regarding sampling for arsenic, even though there have been confirmations of arsenic likely above the human health standards within a 2-mile radius of Lake Margaretta for land that was used for citrus and fernery operations in the past. As a resident of this area, I am concerned about the impacts this development will have from a safety and health perspective. Please do not approve the ordinances for this development.
Are there any other public comments? Seeing none, I'm gonna close public comments. Would the developer like to have any rebuttal?
No, I'm okay.
So no
Yeah.
final developer, have any final commission comments? All right, we will have roll call on 6A3. Thank you.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Mayor Reesman?
Yes. Would someone introduce, well, we've already introduced, roll call on 6A4, a motion to approve.
Yeah, motion to approve 6A4.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any public comments? Seeing none, roll call.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Mayor Reesman?
Yes. Would someone make a motion for 6A5?
Motion to approve 6A5.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any public comments?
This is the one with the amendment, is that correct?
Yes. Dan?
The PUD, this is the,
1 second. The city
yeah,
attorney.
yeah, I just wanted to clarify that this is the one that you had recommended or
Yes, sir.
requested an amendment
The
on. for
PUD, we
this.
were requesting those minor wording changes. And on the gutters, yes, I forgot to mention that one. We had talked about that previously. That was supposed to be in there, so thank you, Tom. In that case, we would just add the gutter requirement for those 60-foot lots.
So I think,
Do you need a motion to do that?
yes, sir, I think a motion to amend to adopt the recommendations of the planning director, Mr. Miller.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the amended motion for Planning and Zoning Director's comments. Any comments from the commission? Any public comments? Seeing none, roll call on the amended motion.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Mayor Reesman?
Yes. And then, we'll vote on the motion now of 6A5.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Mayor Reesman?
Yes. Would someone please introduce 6A6?
I'll introduce as be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, amending Section 13, Motor Vehicles and Traffic of the Code of Ordinances by amending Section 13-5 to adopt the maximum rates for towing and storage of vehicles as set forth in Florida Administrative Code Rule 15B-9.010, providing for conflict, severability, codification, and an effective date.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Any public comments? Seeing none, roll call.
Commissioner Berry? Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Mayor Reesman?
Yes. Would someone please introduce 6B1?
I'll introduce as be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, adding a PDO, Planned Development Overlay, with a waiver from Section 25-282, parentheses A, parentheses 1, PDO, 5-acre minimum, to the existing C3 highway commercial zoning on approximately 0.48 plus minus acres to allow for a duplex use for properties generally located west of Vista Avenue and north of U.S. Highway 441, lying in Section 23, Township 19 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
This will lay over till August 25th. Anything from staff?
Just to note, it's a PDO for 2 duplexes on 2 lots on Vista Avenue, Planned Development Overlay, and that is a requirement in order to do the duplexes out there. There are duplexes. It's a mixed area with some commercial, some residential. Staff feels like this is appropriate. Thank you.
Okay. Any comments from the applicant if they're here? No? Okay. Any commission comments?
What was the date?
August 25th.
25th, thank you.
All right. We move on to 6C, City Manager Evaluations. Thank you, sir.
The first August meeting marks the annual city manager evaluations. Just for sake of formality, I'm going to refer to myself in the third person, so it's always awkward. But I did receive all commission evaluations from all 5 of the city commissioners. For the evaluations, I would say were extremely well. One was extremely poor. Those evaluations have been all made at part of the public record. The summary of the evaluations was put together by the HR department, which was handed out to the commission and disseminated this afternoon, which will also be part of the public record. The overall summary, as well as the city manager's self-evaluation, are all presented, and puts the city manager, I think, in a above satisfactory overall performance evaluation for the year, which would make the city manager eligible for the annual pay increase that all general employees of the cities receive. So I would say I've spoken with 4 of the 5 commissioners about the evaluations. I appreciate your remarks and open to whatever feedback you have this evening.
Our city manager continues to do a great job. I was impressed by all the 4 of the reviews. The city came out, the residents came out a year ago singing Al's praises. Where I'm going with this is I don't want to lose Al Minter. I'm going to suggest, I'll make a motion if needed, that in addition to the 5% raise we're giving all employees, that we give Al another 5%. In the corporate world, if you had a review like this, there would be bonuses. In fact, in the corporate world, we don't give out standard, across the board, but they don't get the same pay raise. It's all tiered, based on performance. So here's Al with his outstanding performance, and I throw that out for discussion. In fact, I'll go a step further. So I'll make a motion to increase Al's pay effective October 1 by another 5% on top of the 5% going to the all employees.
I'll second that motion.
So we have a motion on the floor for the current 5% and an additional 5% at October 1 for the city manager, and we have a second. Any further discussion? Yep.
No comment.
I would just say, I think the city manager has done a phenomenal job. I know we've had a little rough patch in the very beginning, but I think our relationship is the best it's ever been. I enjoy working with him. I think we both know how we work, and I truly think the city manager has the best interest of the city. I will just say, when we're saying the 5%, the city manager does, I'm not disputing his pay, but the 5% is a large amount when it comes to his pay. So it's like $12,000. So it'd be, if you added another 5%, that'd be an additional $12,000.
Yeah, and I appreciate the clarification. I said it before. I want to put Al in a situation where it's hard for him to leave our city. He's been here a long time. I'm just trying to protect our city from the possibility of losing him. So I'm just trying to make it harder and harder. That's all I'm trying to do.
And I respect that.
And I respect that. It is a big increase, but people at his level, the market's going up, up.
City manager, are you leaving? Are you trying to leave?
I was not trying to imply any of that. I'm trying to just keep that.
I'm just trying to be clear of what we're talking about now. Is this something I just wasn't aware? That's all I'm asking.
I would say someone in his position, I would be naive if I did not think he had been approached or would be approached in the future. So I was not trying to stir up any trouble here at all.
I'm asking the question.
Okay.
You leaving?
You've asked me a direct question, and I'm going to be evasive in my answer.
Okay.
Providing additional money is not going to keep me to stay or go. I have enjoyed this relationship with the city. If I were to leave, it would be an extremely hard decision. If I were to leave, it would be something that I would see as something professionally that would be the next advancement. At this stage in my career, with the tenure I have here, opportunities to leave under my terms are extremely limited. I appreciate Commissioner Peterson's motion, but in all honesty, the only way I think I can reasonably answer your question, Commissioner, in this forum today is to say that additional money from Leesburg is not going to make or break where I am.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Because I appreciate this community. I appreciate what you all have done for me. And I appreciate being here. So being in Leesburg at this stage is not about money.
Thank you for your honesty. Appreciate that.
All right. So we do have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? We will take a roll call.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
No.
Mayor Eastman?
No.
public comment on that?
Not at this time, no. All right. This is more of a city commission and city manager discussion. I don't think, unless I'm wrong, is.
I think,
Yeah, I think the city manager evaluation is more for the commission, but I think, in open public comment, at the beginning or even at the next meeting, public comment would be another opportunity to chime in on anything you have to say. Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. All right, informational reports, we have none. City attorney.
just before you go, that leaves me with a 5%.
Yes, yes, yes.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the clarification.
Any city manager item or city attorney items?
Yes, sir. Just briefly, Mr. Mayor, the Susan Street access parcel, we're set to close on that this week. It looks like everything is in line to get that parcel closed. Got the title report today. Everything looks clear. We've got some documents, closing documents this evening that I've left with Miss Andy to review those. I've asked her to hold on to those until we get the survey back because we don't have that yet. But assuming the survey comes back without any major crazy problems on it, it looks like we're all good on that and should have it wrapped up probably by the end of the week.
Thank you, city attorney. City manager items.
I have only one, again, I appreciate the feedback that you provided on the city manager evaluation. Secondly, I will be out of town. Starting on Thursday, I'll be out from Thursday through Monday on a quick trip up to Maine to see the brother and family of my wife. And I will be back in the region on Tuesday, but I'll be moving my daughter up to Gainesville for the start of the new year and back at it on Wednesday. I'll be reachable by phone other than when we're flying up to Maine on Thursday and Monday. Rob will be in my stead while I'm away. And again, thank you for the kind remarks and support.
Thank you. And roll call.
Commissioner Peterson?
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Berry?
I would like to ask the commission to consider my request, excuse me, it sounds so loud, to update the Carver Heights Montclair redevelopment plan. The last development plan was done in 2015, and I think it's important to reflect the current community needs and priorities. I mentioned this in our June 23rd CRA meeting, and I just wanted to bring it back for you all just to keep it in your back of your head, back of your minds, to consider my request. And we have housing demands that have changed, the shift in our business activity, and updating the plans ensures alignment with community input, stakeholder feedback, and new challenges. So just consider, please.
Yeah, I'm not going to push back on it if it's that important, Commissioner Berry. But, in budget, we talked about this. And my only point was, I forget the exact number, but I think my example was, I just looked at it like it was another house. I mean,
100 and something thousand.
100, was it 100?
50, I think, that was the
So
estimate.
150,000, I see 6 homes. I just don't see the value in it. I'd rather put it to the homes, but, it was 150?
I think that was an estimate just given. I just think it's important to keep moving forward and stay within. The demographics have changed in the district area. And the last update was 2015, and if you read it, it's not in line. I mean, we need some more direction, I think, some suggestions.
Yeah. I'll let the other commissioners chime in. I'm trying to help you with I know how important the grants are to you, so I'm sitting here just doing the math going, and I can't imagine it's going to give me $150,000 worth of value. But, I welcome other commissioners' thoughts. I mean, if it's that important to you, I'm not going to push back on it.
I just want you to think about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. If it's important to Commissioner Berry, it's something we should look into.
Thank you.
Commissioner Berry?
Nothing tonight.
Mayor Reisman?
For once, there was nothing from nothing. What? I will say, Commissioner Berry and I are going to the League of Cities conference this weekend, so I look forward to attending that with her. And with that, I will take a motion to adjourn. Meeting adjourned.